you up on the second. Yeah, I might leave it off so I can see the audio over there. I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah. You know, it's just whatever. We can look at the hamsters from a distance.
The hamsters are over there.
Like they're somewhere over there.
We have hold on.
Wait, we have technology to show hamsters?
Well.
Oh no! You should just leave that over there.
I want to show him my little guy.
I know, but if it,
I'm gonna let it'll pop off when the time is right.
This thing's horrible.
Have you seen Super Mario Wonder? Are you familiar with the hit? Oh.
Together.
So he's like one of the little flower guys from Super Mario Wonder.
Perfect weather for a nap, huh?
But he just talks all the time. He just never stops talking. He like every 10, 20 minutes, he just says something random. And
apropos of nothing.
Yeah, and in the morning, Elena's making a real face for audio listeners. You're not going to hear this.
No.
In the morning, when you set a wake up time and like a go to sleep time, and as the wake up time hits, he goes, 3, 2, 1. It's time to get up now.
So that would be an instant reach over, like not even roll over, just like reach over and fling that across the room as best I can from whatever position that I was lying in.
Look, it's just got a lot of whimsy, Elena. You might not be prepared for this level of extreme whimsy.
I don't have a lot of whimsy in my soul, much less my bones, dude.
Yep.
Really true to form here.
Look, Brad and I are the whimsy guys here, clearly. The inner children are alive and well. Adam and Elena, huge bummers.
I totally want to buy one of those.
I have a different sense of whimsy, okay?
Yeah, it's like some sort of anti-whimsy.
I mean, in this specific case, yes. Very yes.
Well, welcome to the pre-show.
Focus. Let's take a breath together.
Hey, Adam, let's take a
now
breath
Nintendo's going to come after us. You realize this? That now we're on the Nintendo
We're advertising.
books.
No. This is how you get that. You want to get a Super Mario Wonder flower sponsorship? This is how you do it.
I'd buy 3.
Just
saying.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, welcome pre-show. We should get to the show.
Like, yeah, we have a lot of show today.
We got a lot of show today. Everybody took a bathroom break. Everybody grabbed a snack and a drink.
Doing it right now.
There. Perfect. What's on your shirt today, Brad? I don't.
Wait.
Old school is the shirt I used to have. It burnt down in the fire, and Elena and a bunch of folks in the Full Nerd Discord managed to find me wearing it and buy me a new one and send it to me. So thanks, everybody.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect for St. Patrick's Day, I figured.
Yeah.
I don't have any green clothes because I worked in front of a green screen for a really long time. And like Vinny at Giant Bomb would yell at me every time I wore something green because then that part of me would be invisible.
In your window right there.
This is like literally I dug through the closet.
That is the most legit excuse I've ever heard, to be fair.
Yeah.
Also, you would call this green, right?
No, that's like a sage.
Yeah,
closest. That is a form of green, sir.
Yeah, I don't know.
Elena, I'm not seeing any green. Are you hiding?
You know what the beauty is of being an adult? I can wear whatever I want.
Wow.
Well, you hate the Irish.
Whimsy killer hates the Irish. Now we know all the things.
Okay, real talk though. Okay, so like when I was younger, I grew up not knowing anything about this so-called tradition. Mm-hmm. So when I was in elementary school and a couple of kids approached me and said, "You're not wearing green, I'm going to pinch you," my response may have been more violent than was warranted.
Wow. Down.
Listen, you shouldn't just walk up to people and pinch them, you know.
I'm going to the bar tonight, and pinching is in my plans. Just throwing that out there.
Pinching people you don't know?
It's at the bar on St. Patrick's Day.
Well,
Brad's Boston adjacent. They're real good at bars and real good at St. Patrick's Day.
They actually shut down the city of Boston at like 7 o'clock. They said, don't park on the streets. We're not doing any just public travel at like 7 o'clock on Saturday because they're like, you guys are going to go too hard. You can't sell alcohol after this time.
Wow, really?
Special rules in place in Boston for Saturday.
Wow.
Dang. All right. Well, we're going to go hard today, too. We got a lot to talk about. I have one thing I need to show off in the pre-show before we start because I got it this weekend, and I'm only gonna do it once just to get it out of my system, and then I'm going to put it away from myself because I know that I'm no, not this. I went to Micro Center. I went to Micro Center after we
went to the flea market.
The flea market. Yeah, we're going to talk about the flea market in the show. I went to Micro Center afterward, and I got something that Lindsay immediately hated.
Yeah,
and then I have.
Was it the flower?
I've been driving myself crazy because I get hung up on sounds. Maybe that's why I love being. Or I got into audio engineering because like sounds. But yeah,
Okay.
you got the overhead ready? Can,
you want
can
the
you switch to the
overhead?
overhead? Yeah.
Yeah, I can do
Oh,
that
we getting
theoretically.
fancy.
Yeah, there you go. Give me the
There's-
overhead.
oh, wow,
it's not
focus.
focused. Here, no, I got it.
Okay, you know how to do that. I don't know how to do
I
that.
will zoom in
Whoa.
and focus.
Whoa.
So
It's a little guy.
it's yeah.
Does
So-
it talk or anything? Does it like say things throughout the night?
So it's a cat keycap that I put on a ducky's thing.
Like
but,
3D printed
But
deal?
listen,
I love this. This
I
is
love
a perfect
this actually too.
Yeah.
so this was a duck on there.
Yeah.
But then they were also selling an orange cat.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
like my orange cat, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put this on here.
Was the USB port, can you make
It's
it connect to
rechargeable.
something?
Yeah,
or
it's
does
just
it?
rechargeable.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you can't make it do stuff.
So like I was sitting
want
at home all day yesterday, busy working, and
yeah.
yeah, okay.
The next thing to do is to teach the cat to mash that.
Yeah.
You want me to switch it back?
Yeah. Anyway.
You can do so with treats, I'm sure.
Yeah, you could-
Cats are kind of trainable through food.
Yeah.
Emphasis
so
on
wait.
kindable.
You like that, but you hate the flower?
I don't
Excuse me,
understand
Adam.
him, man.
Well, no, but the flower is not a repeatable thing. Like this is a repeatable sound. I get into this
Gotcha.
pattern where I'll listen to a sound and I just have to like repeat it over and over again. I don't know. But yeah, this jam on it.
I think I'm in that camp where it's like if I like a sound and I find it amusing or interesting, like having it on repeat, like satisfy something in the brain. But that flower thing, okay, one, I don't like being woken up that way. And two, that voice is not pleasant to listen to.
Oh no,
So
it's
that's
really
just like
it's
an instant-
annoying.
just like across the room.
It's annoying in the game too. Just to be clear,
Oh, you all are dressed for summer over there.
it's hot. You're wearing a sweatshirt. I don't even know what's going on.
I'm not wearing a sweatshirt. I'm wearing an oversized t-shirt,
Oh, okay,
sir.
okay. It looks like a sweatshirt. It's
Like
hard
the
to tell from
children
here.
do.
Yeah, the kids
As
love.
we did as children.
Yeah, that's-
and they don't understand.
Look, K-pop brought long sleeve T-shirts back. I think.
I like it. All right, we should go.
Yeah, you got your thing ready to go. You got you're ready.
Oh, what are we talking about?
It's probably going to be a lot of DLSS
Controversial
5
things.
and then a tiny little bit
yeah.
of everything else.
Everything else, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to steal that. I'm just going to say that.
You're welcome.
There we go. All right. Yep, I'm ready. You ready? Everybody ready?
You want to cut for this, right?
It's
hard cut to
yeah.
the
You
intro.
take the lower off.
That's
One
already.
second.
That,
I'm gonna
oh,
adjust
you
my
take
camera.
that off before.
Yeah, you take that off before
Oh.
because it is starting. Once
Oh,
I
you're
start the
starting.
intro, it is started.
Okay.
I don't know what Elena's doing. Oh, she's doing.
There we go. That's
I
the
am
cuts
fixing my
off.
camera.
Oh no, it made it worse.
What?
Because now, can you disconnect and reconnect your camera to Zoom real quick? Oh, there we go.
Ow.
Well,
I did a thing.
Nailed
Sorry,
it.
everybody.
Just put your hand up in front of it.
okay, there we go.
Okay,
No, it's
there
fine.
we go. Perfect.
The Zoom auto reframing is not the best. Anyway, yeah, and then so you hard cut into the music,
Hard cut into the music.
and then you fade.
then I
in
fade back
as
into
I start
you
talking.
when you
Yeah.
start talking. Yeah. Okay, I got this.
But wait a little, just
And
a,
do you want the
just a
overlay
little
up?
breath. Yeah, and then
as soon as we come back.
no,
No.
and then the
It's like
the
listening
zero
to
overlay
a
comes.
conductor.
Okay. He has
like
so
an
many rules
orchestra.
for this.
Yeah.
Most people are just like, "Yo, hit the button." He's like, "Oh, I want 15 things in a specific
I
sequence."
know, I'm a dictator.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yeah. Let's go.
In this episode of the Full Nerd, DLS.
Nailed it.
There's two S's.
I need to get
got
a.
it.
I need to get a wah
Yeah.
sound when you do that. Yeah. Morning zoo.
Oh
We
man,
could just
see,
do
I don't-
ba-ba-ba-ba.
Okay, here we go. In this episode of the Full Nerd, DLS 5.
Two S's.
There's two S's in there. Dang it. Okay. All right. Third time. Here we go. In this episode of the Full Nerd, why can't I say DLSS? DLSS.
How many times have you said
You've only been
DLSS in
saying
the
it for
last
a
10
decade.
years?
I
Yeah.
know, right? Jeez. Okay.
This is a branding problem.
Here we go. In this episode of the Full Nerd, DLSS 5 madness, and then a couple other things. Yeah. That works.
Tiny.
And welcome everyone to episode 390 of the Full Nerd Podcast, PC World's premier podcast offering level-headed opinions about PC building topics. I am your fill-in host, Adam Patrick Murray, but I am not alone. I have the full crew here today, two of which are online. First, I'm going to introduce online. The most online person I know is Brad Charkis.
Hey, chat. What's up, fam? I'm ready for some level-headed takes about DLSS 5. Let's go.
Love it. Love it. Also on the line is one Elena Yee. Hello, Elena. You were supposed to be here in the office with us because we're having a heat wave in the Bay Area. So hopefully you're not sweltering too much.
It's actually not too bad where I'm at currently. I'm guessing I will regret this decision in the afternoon, but that's when I would have returned from the office anyway. So,
Okay.
trade-offs.
Yeah. We'll see. Also here in the office,
Hi.
getting to witness the fact that I'm wearing shorts. You can see my knee
What?
right there.
It's gross.
Yeah.
What is with all the HR violations when it comes to Will?
It's just a knee.
I'm a
nothing
contractor.
wrong with this,
I don't have the despite
That's not
years
what the
of
Victorians would have said.
training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also running
Hi.
the verticals and horizontals.
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Hello.
Willis was in the chat giving me some tips, so I appreciate
Oh,
that.
that's good. Yeah. He's like, here's how you deal with Adam.
Yeah.
From
just ignore
years
him
of experience.
mostly. Yeah. It's fine.
So yeah, he was scarred.
Um,
Wow. We got a lot to talk about today. We've got a lot of news. Obviously, people have gotten the Reefer Madness reference to DLSS 5, right?
Wait,
it's making
really?
everyone mad. That was my thing. The DLSS 5 madness, like Reefer Madness. It's just making
it's a
everyone
really
mad.
timely reference
Anyway,
there, man.
anyway, whatever. We got to talk about a couple things real quick.
Yeah. We went to the flea market. This is the Bay Area Electronics Flea Market this weekend. It was the first one of the year.
Which is it's a special time anyway, but then you've told me that the first one of the year is always more special because people have been hoarding stuff.
Yeah, it
throughout
wasn't
the
this
winter.
year. It kind of stunk.
It was better
an
than
off
the
day.
end of last year. That was
Probably.
the first one I went to.
I don't know. There were a
so-
lot of CRTs at the end of last year. People were unloading some CRTs to get them out of their garages for the winter.
True. Yeah.
But we went down. It's in Saratoga, California, which is like it's near Los Gatos. It's almost to San Jose.
It's a long way away.
It's a haul. And it starts at about 6:00 in the morning on this year. Previously, it's been the second Sunday of the month. This year, it's the second Saturday of every month because it turns out the second Sunday collides with both Mother's Day and Father's Day for 2 months in a row.
Whoops.
And it causes problems in scheduling. So they decided they're going to make a change after 25 years of doing this thing or 30 years of doing this
Wow.
Yeah.
thing.
So anyway, I mean that was just a vessel for what we're about to talk about. I got to meet somebody that you've known for a while, Bertrand.
Bertrand.
Yeah,
Bertrand.
Yeah,
He's
goes
you
by
might
Bertrand.
know him from the Full Nerd Discord, but he works with silicon, and as a result of some stuff that changed, he ended up with a whole bunch of blank wafers that he's been doing science on for the last year or so, and he made
An art. I'd call it
art.
art.
Yeah, art and science. So he uses that in a laser cutter, and he's doing some really neat work with different materials to get them to fuse onto the wafers. And he made, like, at the end of the Tech Pod every week, I say, please consider the environment before printing this podcast, which strikes my particular kind of humor. And so he took a transcript of the podcast and etched it into the surface of a silicon wafer, like a 8-inch silicon wafer. So he made something for us here at the Full Nerd.
Yeah, I mean, like, I still don't know what to say about it. I unfortunately we can't show you guys. I mean, I guess next time you're in.
I just pulled up the stream on my phone. So
Okay,
perfect.
yeah. So
Okay.
we're gonna switch to the overhead because this is something very
It's really
special,
cool.
and we need to show it off. So
So
yeah.
that's okay.
Okay. Well,
so-
let me zoom out.
Well, first off, I
should zoom in for this.
He etched onto metal foil tape.
It's no.
Well,
no,
we had it for a second there. There we go.
Yeah, it's
Etched onto metal foil tape.
There you go. The Outrage Pony and the Full Nerd and PC World logos.
Yeah, PC
which
World logos, which is
I
really cool.
didn't see at first, and I was like, "Wow, dude, what are you doing? This is amazing stuff." Don't look at my laptop screen. You'll just see the chat. Will is unboxing it for audio listeners.
that tape is cool.
The
tape is good, right? Is that right side up?
Nope.
Nope,
other
upside
way.
down.
Yeah,
Like-
upside down. We are going to have to deal with the glare, so let's just tilt it this way a little bit like that. I'm going to come in. So what he ended up doing was etching a tribute to Gordon on here.
And it's
Ooh.
like selected excerpts from the article on PC World that had all the nice things people wrote about Gordon last year, I guess the year before last now. And it says Gordon Mong, 1967 to 2024, husband, father, watchdog, bigger, bar better.
Yeah.
And it's the picture of him sitting at his laptop yelling into a microphone, which is like,
Yeah. Here on the Full Nerd.
yeah.
Pete Gordon.
Yeah, and like I still don't know what to say. This is like so so cool and like such an awesome little tribute, especially because he was the CPU reviewer too. So to have his remembrance etched on a wafer was like super special.
And I think this is a 10-inch wafer, if I remember right. Maybe a 9-inch. I can't remember.
I guess I can get a.
We could tape measure it. But the point is,
amazing.
When you hit it with the light, it does real good sparkles. We're not doing it justice here, because you're just seeing the black or fully blown out. But it looks really good in person, really cool in person.
Yeah, really cool.
Can you take some good pictures of that and send them to me?
Oh yeah. We'll take some pictures. I need to find a place in the set to hang it so we can see it. Maybe back here.
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Yeah. Shout outs to Bertrand.
So like super awesome.
And he also brought chocolate chip cookies, which was nice too.
They were actually really good chocolate chip cookies. So
That's
thank
the
you.
real MVP.
Yeah. Oh man, like that.
You were literally speechless. I've never seen you speechless before.
I mean, this whole weekend, even leading to the show, I was like, I don't even know what to say about this. Like, I really can't convey. I've been chatting with him now on Discord, and I was just like, I really can't convey like how special this is. So, that's awesome. Also, I mean, just other quick side note, which we didn't talk about here on the show, but both the PCWorld and the Full Nerd Network channels hit milestones. Ooh. So the PCWorld YouTube channel has crossed over 400,000 subscribers.
Nice.
And the Full Nerd Network channel has crossed over 10,000 subscribers. Supposedly 10,000 is like the hardest mark to get usually on YouTube.
Thanks to everybody for liking and subscribing.
So, yeah. And continuing to support us and keep going on with Gordon's legacy. Anyway.
Can I say something real quick? It's actually been kind of an emotional time this like past weekend and then like this now, and I'm trying really hard actually not to get all teary. So shout out to Deotis in the chat who said in reference to you trying to figure out what the diameter of the wafer is, I guess, or the piece of silicone that you guys talking about, when he said Gordon would have measured it with his fingers.
Nope.
Nope. I mean, it's okay. Yeah.
Adam's already getting flustered and Brad's laughing his head off.
Yeah,
we haven't even.
I had to mute.
It's more than 8 centimeters, guys. That's all I know.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on anyway.
Brad's dying.
Yeah. So now on to serious business. Serious news.
Angry serious.
Wait,
Got it.
hold on. Should I change is it time to change the thing?
Do you have a? Yeah. Change the thing.
I can change the thing.
Can you change the thing? Let's see.
Can
you
I
do it? Nope.
Wrong one.
Nope.
Shoot. Nope, that's not it. This one.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Okay.
Nope.
Wait. We're on this one now.
Yeah,
okay,
there it is. There it is. Yeah, got it.
See,
DLSS.
the first one's labeled 2, so it's confusing. Okay.
I mean, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Don't you have control over what?
Look,
oh God,
it's complicated. Okay, it's more complicated than you might think.
Yeah, he's a professional. Okay,
give me like 2 more weeks and we'll get it locked in. Okay.
Anyway, I don't know if anyone noticed this little news that maybe hit yesterday.
Tiny little piece.
I think we should talk about it here on the show because I think people aren't really talking about it, and I think it's something that people needs
highlighting.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here on the podcast.
It's important to get. It's important to get the feelings out when you have them about things. Otherwise, they fester. That's how bad things happen inside you if you don't get the feelings out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So DLSS 5 was announced somewhat unceremoniously on stage at GTC. NVIDIA's GTC conference is technically for enterprise stuff. They usually don't do consumer announcements, so this one kind of came
not for a while.
Yeah,
it was the best 3 minutes of the show.
Was it? I don't know about that either.
It was the most consumer-related 3 minutes of the show.
There we go. That's a better way to
How's
couch it. Yeah, I like that. And DLSS 5 has taken the world by storm.
I don't think that means what you think it means.
No,
It is brought in a storm.
Yeah. If people don't get the reefer madness joke, it was anti-marijuana propaganda that made people act crazy. Like, for some reason, that's what I thought of when I saw the reaction to this. Is people just like they immediately saw it and it just like turned them into a rage.
See, I thought about that movie that came out last year called Triangle of Sadness, because to me these were triangles of sadness. Lots and lots of triangles, and people were very sad and angry.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
Are we just like on the dad joke segment of the show?
Have you never been on this show before, Elena? It's all dad
I'm
jokes.
not a dad.
It's all the way down.
I wouldn't know. No.
You are the dad jokiest non-dad I know. It's a compliment. Positive. Parentheses positive.
For audio listeners, there's definitely a moment on my face where I'm like, wait, is he insulting me?
No.
No,
Positive.
Is he
no,
complimenting me?
Okay, so what's the top line on DLSS 5, Adam? You went and took a briefing.
Yeah. So, well, here's the weird thing. NVIDIA reached out to us over the weekend, which luckily I checked my work email over the weekend. They were like, hey, you should really come down to San Jose and have a meeting on Monday. And I was
Just
like,
to be clear, it's like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive in each direction for you.
Depending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like BART is like 2 hours. Driving is like a little over an hour, depending on traffic. Right. So I was like, hey, listen, like, I know you say you got something consumer, but like, can we do a online meeting or something like this? Because that's a lot to ask to come down to GTC, which is something we don't cover. And so they wouldn't tell me what it was, but you know, after some pressing, and also to be completely clear, they gave me a $200 Uber voucher to make my way down there. And I was like, all right, you know, I used that money to get down there and take the briefing. And I'm glad I did. I'm actually glad I did.
It's when I saw what they had shown and saw the reaction to it, I wished I had they hit me on Friday, I would have cleared my Monday so I could have gone, and on Saturday I couldn't move the appointments that I had for Monday afternoon, unfortunately.
Well, so it's weird because this is technically part of DLSS. They're calling it DLSS 5, but it's kind of a weird next evolution. I don't know. Like, so DLSS up until this point has usually been stuff to enhance performance, right? Either upscaling, frame generation, ray reconstruction, things like that. They're ways to get, okay, maybe not performance is the right term either. I don't know. Well, how would you call it? Like,
They're just doing generative AI on the lighting and shaders.
no. I mean, DLSS up until this point.
Oh, it's been a developer enhancement technology that's kind of pitched as a time savings tool for developers. Basically, it started with them saying, hey, we have a plugin. Well, okay, when people started using it in the DLSS 2 era, they said they reached out to developers and said, hey, we have a plugin that'll take you like a half a day to implement in Unreal and Unity that will give you AI accelerated anti-aliasing and upscaling, right? And then they added frame gen, they added ray reconstruction, they've added some other stuff on top of it. But at heart, it's always been a low effort way to improve performance in games using the tensor cores on the GPU.
Yep. While still delivering the artistic vision, I think is the important
Maintaining the artistic vision.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's always been up to people's taste, whether they like it or not. See our conversation a couple weeks ago of what flavor upscaling taste you like.
But as opposed to things that they did in the old times, which were like, they in the late 2000s they used to do frame buffer filters
Who's
that were NVIDIA.
Oh, NVIDIA.
That would run on the graphics driver level on the frame buffer that would do things like Photoshop type filters, like edge detection and they had one that made it look like the Matrix, but with ASCII artification of whatever information was in the frame buffer. And those were intentionally not preserving the artistic intent of the developers, but they ran on the driver level and they were things you could flip on and off. Like in reality, I don't think anybody ever used those as anything other than a novelty, because like you're not gonna play a game that looks like code dripping down from the ceiling with people kind of embossed out of it. But like that stuff had been in the past. Now,
DLSS 5 is a new lighting technique. Like that's the thing that I think was not properly described at the presentation, because obviously if you just look at it, then it's like, oh hey, this just looks different. A lot of people are just calling it AI slop. Just like, oh, that is what it is, just AI slop. NVIDIA's bringing yassifying. How do you even say that?
I don't know how you say. I never realized I never heard it said out loud.
Yeah.
Looks maxing, Adam. That's the thing that. So here, okay. There's two different things going on. There's stuff happening in the environment, and materials and lighting in the environment, and then there's the stuff that they're doing to faces. And people reacted almost universally, in my experience, on Twitter, Blue Sky, all the places that people talk about video games, Reddit, reacted really negatively to how they modified the faces. Now, it's worth mentioning, they said late after the fact that this was done with the help of artists, technical artists at the studios whose games they showed. So like they engaged with Capcom technical artists to do the yassification on Grace and Leon. And the reaction was just that. It looked like one of the Instagram style beauty filters that like are famous because influencers use them to like not have to do makeup and stuff. And the reaction was really negative to that. Like I was kind of surprised because I expected there to be some split. Oh, that's our guy. Oh, it's 11 a.m.
What's happening over there?
Sorry,
the flower went off. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think we unmuted that microphone.
Where's the whimsy now, guys?
Well, I forgot to turn the mic on, so the whimsy's
You know
lost
what?
to us.
So it's annoying us. It's
Yeah.
not going to annoy everyone else.
And now I understand why my daughter and wife were annoyed by this yesterday when I wasn't around. The point is, people's initial reaction was, "Hey, this looks like those filters," which people kind of generally don't like.
Mm-hmm. And
like whether that was the intent or not, that's what people's reaction was to it, and that's a fair reaction, I think, to the thing that they showed. So anyway, that's the kind of TLDR. It blew up to the point that like NVIDIA PR folks were in comments on social media networks responding to angry posts on the internet.
Which they usually are anyway.
Which they are often, but
Yep.
it's like, anyway, yeah.
So I took the meeting. I went down there. I got briefed by two of the engineers who actually have been the ones in charge of this project. They're not PR people. They're actually the engineers on it. They sat me down in front of the demos, showed me the scripted demos. I've seen plenty of NVIDIA demos before. And then we just asked, I asked so many questions over the course of like an hour and also got to play around with it as well. Turn it on and off, walked around the environment, turn it on and off. They did not have the Resident Evil thing demo to be shown there. The one that I physically got my hands on, which I could have got my hands on any of them, but I specifically wanted to look at Starfield because number one, that doesn't already have path tracing in it for the lighting and things like that. And also, I think Starfield just kind of looks like kind of needs a little bit of love.
Yep.
Resident Evil already looked good too, depending on what settings you're playing at. So yeah, they did reiterate that they created this and then brought it to the developers. So it's not like they worked with the developers to create this, but the developers did give their sign off on it. And actually, I asked, I was like, okay, well, which developers were the most critical of it? Maybe critical is not the word. I don't remember the exact word I used, but like which ones were the ones that were like, oh yeah, do whatever, and then which one of the ones that are like, we need to really tweak this one. And funny enough, they said Capcom was the one that did the most back and forth tweaking to making sure it looked how they wanted it to look.
Yeah.
So we can talk about artistic intent, whatever, but like that's what they had said. It's a bummer they didn't have the Resident Evil one shown there, like so that I could look at it up close. But yeah.
What
Wait,
were your
so I-
overall impressions? Like, how did it feel? Like, before I want to talk too much about my thoughts, you've actually used it, and I think that's super valuable. Like, how did it feel?
So I mean, I'm going to say it out here. I think it looks awesome. Like, I have always been somebody who values like the bells and whistles and how things look, especially lighting, over performance. And I know I'm not the norm here. Most people are like, oh, turn off all the bells and whistles, give me 360 hertz monitor and cool. And I'm like, you know what? If it looks good and it's at 60, I'm okay with it. So I'm already in the minority there. I'm also somebody who usually goes around in games like Resident Evil, especially because it did have really good ray trace lighting to begin with. And like, I'll go in the corner and I'll just like look and be like, okay, well, what are the shadows doing? Is that realistic? Okay. Oh, wow. And so, sometimes like even in the non-ray trace version of Resident Evil, like it still looks really good. And like, I'll just sit there and look at the environment when it's safe to do so and there's not zombies. And in this one, like it was so fun because I said, I picked Starfield and I just went in there and was running around. Not only the open world environment, but I went to the ship and stuff like that because it was closed off. And it was just a little toggle on the keyboard to turn it on and off and just see what the light was doing and see what the model was perceiving the light to be doing. So I guess we should back up and describe what it is.
Yeah, so on the lighting side, like, are they AIing a path tracing model into Starfield?
So this is just a lighting.
Okay.
But what they're telling me is that it needs two things. It needs color and motion vectors. And then from that, it can parse out what it thinks the lighting is doing based off of either the light in the scene, whether it's a light that's supposed to be, shown, or like a light that just is inferred kind of thing. And then replaces the lighting pass on the models, on the environment, all that kind of stuff.
And are the technical artists? So you had said that this was a technical artist thing.
Well, I asked NVIDIA, I was like, okay, well, who at the developers did you work with on this? Like, what kind of role at a developer would be working on this? And they told me the technical art director. I actually don't know what that means.
So technical art typically is stuff that is an artist job, but it's also a little bit of programming or programmer adjacent. So it's stuff like rigging and skinning 3D models so that they go from being static to being movable. So like if you think about like a human body, they do things like make the shoulders work and the elbows work and the necks and the mouths and the lips and all that stuff work, right? They also do things like writing the material shaders. So every surface in the game that has a texture and luminosity and specular highlights and all that stuff, each of those is like running a bunch of little programs that describe all those different effects. They do things like use Houdini, which is a tool that lets you add an enormous amount of variation to your game programmatically. So like, imagine you have a city scene and you want to have 3,000 people walking down the street. They'll define the different variations of those costumes, faces, hair, hairstyles, hair colors, skin tones, all that stuff programmatically, and then that'll generate a million variations off of the kind of combinatorial nature of those variables. So the TLDR is that tech artists are really, really in high demand. It's the expensive kind of artist.
Oh, really?
And usually they're the person whose time at a studio is like both being competed for by all, like if you have a big tech art team, it's less of a problem because people will specialize. But if you're a small studio, then you'll have one tech artist that has to do the rigging and skinning, and then they also are doing the materials and all this other stuff. So everybody's competing for their time. All the different departments are competing for their time often.
Huh.
Yeah, so anyway, it was interesting to me that they chose, hey, we're going to take tech artists' time to make this happen, because that seems like a hard sell for me.
Well, but I mean, to be clear, I don't know if that's NVIDIA choosing or if that's who the studio paired them with. So
how the technology works would be my guess, that that's the person you get.
So, quick question for further context, Will. Where in the artistic vision pipeline do these technical artists sit?
Typically, you'll have like character design people and narrative designers who work, like if it's a story driven game, then you'll have character designers and narrative people. The narrative team will describe the character, and they'll work with the character designers to find source people, to either cast people so they can actually use their actual appearance, or they'll describe the person, and then there'll be a concept artist that draws what they think they should look like, and then the character designers will work with all these people to render them in 3D or 2D or whatever the game requires. So typically the technical artists are downstream of that process, and the thing that the people they're looking at are
the implementation people.
They're the implementation people, not the designing people. Although often they'll be in the room, because the character artist will be like, hey, can we do like if you're making an alien race, they'll be like, hey, can we make this skin look marbly and shiny and matte all at the same time? And the tech artists will be like, yeah, we can do that. Or no, that's going to be too expensive on the Xbox Series.
We got that, people.
So
we can't do that on the
execution.
S. Yeah.
So they're more execution. While I have the floor real quick, also for more context, Adam, you had said that you were kind of surprised that Capcom did the most back and forth. Like, why did you make that statement? What were you expecting from Capcom, I guess?
Well, it's not what I was expecting. It's just all the internet thinks that Resident Evil example is the worst of them. But at least according to NVIDIA, that's the one that was actually worked on the most, like to make sure that it's what they wanted. So it kind of, once again, that's just what NVIDIA is telling me. So they could be not telling the truth, but like I'm going to take them at face value for it. I think we should wait to see if maybe Capcom comes out and says it. Either way, like,
wildly curious to hear what they have to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, they did have Todd Howard. I guess he was excited So it sounded like the team over at Starfield was like, oh yeah, this is awesome, this is great.
People are talking about Starfield. Heck
yeah. And I mean, it does do wonders on Starfield because, like I said, Starfield kind of needed it already.
It was kind of the opposite for me.
Really?
It does look like, I do think the character models and everything look a lot better in that DLSS 5 demo. But for me, it just reiterated how mechanical the animations in Starfield looks, and it made it jump out even more so to me because the faces looked more realistic.
Oh yeah, it's what do they call it? The
Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, and like I understand why everyone's getting fixated on the character models, but I didn't really care too much about the character models. I was going on the round in the environment, and one of my big bugaboos is ambient occlusion, which is kind of like having the grounding shadow for something, so it looks like it's
soft
connected.
shadow edges where there's multiple light sources hitting something and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was going around to all the objects and being like, oh wow, like it's just this one little shadow that's right there, and that's all it needed to make it look like it's actually sitting on a table. Like to me, like that makes a huge difference. Like, because if it doesn't, it just looks like a video game to me. So when they're saying they're trying to make more realistic lighting, whatever for the character model kind of stuff, like I think no matter what, even if you make the realistic lighting, like if the rigging is weird or the voice acting is weird, like that's a whole thing. But like if you have a table full of objects like we do here and none of them have shadows underneath, it just, to me, like I hate the look of that. So
on
and this had those perfectly.
So the way that I look at DLSS 5 thus far from what we've seen in the past 24 hours is that this is kind of like NVIDIA trying to jump ahead, getting ray tracing style quality without the GPU computational need for it and offloading that to the tensor cores.
Well, so I did press them a lot about performance. How does this impact performance? Where in the pipeline does this impact performance?
Man, it's an easy problem to solve, okay? You have one GPU now, right?
Oh, yeah, you said it.
Just put a second one in there.
GPU setup, baby.
And then,
I told you it's coming back.
Yeah. Everybody loves SLI. I was wrong.
No, and they were very clear. Yes, it's running 25090s right now, but we wanted it to one of the 5090s was handling the game, the other one was handling other stuff, to try to get it to like in a playable state. But the intention is to have it run on a single GPU. And also I was like, okay, well, my biggest problem too is that like you've got all these cool features, but if the entry level can't access them either, then like what good use is that? And they're like, yeah, they reiterated that they really wanted to scale down, but they also, in all my questioning about performance and how it's going to run, because yeah, you would think, oh, well, if you're taking away all that performance, then it should be more performant. They were saying that it is so early days that they don't know where this is going to go yet. That in 6 months' time or whenever fall is when it comes out, they're just like, we're going to work really hard on it and we hope to get here, but we have no idea.
The fact that it's running on 25090 currently really drives that home. Like they really can't talk about that stuff yet.
Yeah, but they weren't trying to hide it though either. Like, they brought it up. I mean, it was shown off.
They talked about the DF video, the whole thing. I just wonder if that tells us something about the 6 series, the expectations on the 6 series performance. Because in a world without RAM supply constraints, we might have been talking about at least 5 series super cards and maybe 6 series cards by now.
I mean, believe me, I once again I asked like, hey, does it hit VRAM? They wouldn't answer. I did ask like, will this run on 50 series? And they're like, yeah, it's running on a 5090 right now.
That doesn't count.
I mean, like technically, and I was like, okay, well, what about older generations? And they're like, well, that's something we're looking into. So
the problem is Adam asked, does it run on 50 series, not a 50 series card?
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, it runs on 50
no,
series all day.
they said
Throw 'em all in
specifically,
there.
yeah,
No,
specifically, yeah.
I think Brad hit on something important a minute ago with the faces, and this is a thing that like we've known for a really long time, is that humans are really good at detecting weird jank in faces. From the like Unreal 3 era, Xbox 360, PS3 era, we have, when we started seeing skin textures with like specular highlights and subsurface scattering and pore density and all the things, and then you look at like a Gears of War 1 or 2 character and you're like, oh god, this looks like they had to cartoonize these characters so that people would engage with them as humans and not as like weird creepy robots. And like, this is the Uncanny Valley thing. We've talked about it a bunch here. We don't need to get back into it again, But when you're taking something that is like Starfield is a great example of this. Starfield works for me as a player because the faces are kind of janky, but also the lip flap and the eye movement and the cheek and the like all the muscles underneath the skin that don't really move the way that they do in a real person. Like your brain shuts off that part of its brain because you're like, oh, this is obviously a caricature. It's a cartoon. It's a 3D rendering. It's a simulacrum of a human, not an actual human. And when you put the real skin texture and put the real subsurface stuff and all the lighting changes and put a ton of specular in their eyes so they're not quite as dead, then you expect them to do things like have the normal saccades that our eyes do when they move. And when you don't have all of that stuff working exactly, like, just to be clear, this is why if you want to make an indie game, you do a highly stylized representation of humans. And if you want to make a AAA game and employ 350 people, then you have a team of 35 people working on just the faces, right? Because it's an enormous amount of work to do it well enough to sell this. And while like AI upscaling was a shortcut to getting better performance, 4K performance on hardware that couldn't run 4K native pixels, this AI doesn't solve the fundamental problem with realistic human characters in video games, which is our brains don't read them as realistic, and it creeps the hell out of people.
Yeah, it's
Made me feel like Weekend at Bernie's.
Or
yeah.
Like I think one of the fundamental issues, especially with the human characters, well, and also design, because the thing is that this is for more realistic.
I assume this is for AAA games that have games that are like shooting for photorealism but aren't getting there for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, how does this apply to non-photorealistic stuff? Like they didn't have like I think Starfield is probably maybe the closest one that you could argue like is not pure photorealism. Like I guess out of all the examples I had, I was like, okay, well, what could somebody do with it in a non-photorealistic place? You know, I guess we'll wait to see. But also at the same time, it's leapfrogging in terms of lighting, but everything else is still way behind here. That it like this actually doesn't really help the character stuff. Like I think it helps the environmental stuff and the lighting and the environment.
The environmental stuff is much easier.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's the character model itself that is weird.
I have like complex and nuanced thoughts about this. If you want me to get into it,
I would love that.
So a lot of people are speculating on the internet. They're calling this the AI generative filter. NVIDIA's come out and said, no, we don't change any of the assets. What they have, the geometry, the textures is what they have. I can see Will's face.
Look at her eyes, man. Her eyes and her mouth are a different shape.
Until we know otherwise, I'm willing to give NVIDIA that benefit of the doubt. Because I was going back and looking real close at these. And like, what's her name? Grace from Resident Evil. She does look like you tell AI to make 100 Instagram models and create one composite image. That's what she looks like now. That's part of the reason everyone hates it. But if you go back and look at the original picture and zoom in real close, like all of those little lines and stuff were already there. I just think that computationally, the lighting model couldn't keep up with it. I think that DLSS 5's lighting model looks really, really good at giving more life to the environments. Like looking at the cobblestone streets in Oblivion, looking at the street behind Grace, they were amazing. Like they look great. But to me, the lighting is the problem. That's the reason these characters are looking this bad. Like in the Starfield one, like in one scene, his nose was flared and you could see it for a second. It turned into a big double nose. You could see it blinking. It looked weird.
With the ghosting kind of all over. Yeah.
But to me, the biggest issue is that it all looks like someone's using the YouTube or Instagram beauty circle light photo in every single picture. Like the difference to me isn't just like you can see all these wrinkles and stuff that I do think were there before, but just didn't have such a big spotlight put on them. I think that the new lighting model does that. And I think that the new lighting model fundamentally changes the lighting models in these games. Like if you look, I was watching the Digital Foundry one. If you look at the Assassin's Creed one, yes, the forest does look a lot more green. But to me, I'd argue it looks like blown out HDR tone mapping taken from a central like beauty focus. And to me, that is the core issue, which has also been kind of my core issue with RTX Remix, the modding tool so you can put current lighting into older games. I've used that quite a bit in things like Half-Life 2 mostly, to be honest, and a couple other different games. And my biggest issue with them is, yeah, it looks great, But this game was designed to have dark areas and to have this person come out of the shadows and do this kind of stuff. And now with this new lighting, it completely changes the intended atmosphere of the scene. And that is my issue with it.
It's like the Star Wars remasters, the RTX remix thing.
Yeah.
See, I actually want to counter that, because I actually say that my counter to that is that actually what we've been seeing was video game lighting, like that it can only do so much to try to accurately portray how lighting is cast, where this is actually taking it more natural, and we're not used to seeing it in video games. And like I think,
I mean, maybe it's the environments, I would agree with that, but
well, I mean,
they're pretty blown out, man. Like a lot of them were.
well, but
I hate the courtyard of the Oblivion scene,
Yeah.
because it does make it look
Courtyard.
like a photorealistic, European courtyard. But the vibe is totally different from the original
Yep.
scene in that game because of that.
I know, but like saying the vibe is different, but that I mean, both can still be true. The lighting could be more accurate, but you might not like the vibe of it.
But I mean,
Right.
I don't wait. I want to interrupt
go
on
ahead.
this because I feel like there's something being lost here in this conversation, even back and forth, where like Adam's saying, "Oh, it's just more photorealistic." Like, let's talk about the technicalities of the lighting, and then like what Brad's saying is that it changes the whole vibe. So I'm actually like I actually just zoomed in on the thumbnail for the announcement, right, where they have that image of Grace, before the DLSS 5 is on, and then when it's actually on. And if you look at it, you can see some of the underlying bone structure and eyes are actually the same. So I can see why they're saying that it's the same. But for me, Adam, when you say that it's just making the lighting more accurate, I would say that here that it's a more nuanced thing, right? Because yes, I do feel like it's doing some lighting changes that would be a little more true, but I agree with Brad because if you look at Grace's face with the like Instagram filter on, whatever is being applied here, and I think this is to me the crux of the argument I was going to bring up at some point, is that contouring is not contouring from the lighting. Those are not shadows being created by the light change. That's makeup contouring. Like that is being created because they are putting specific colors on their faces to create that illusion of lighting changes. And so to me, that's where it starts blurring the line between, yes, these are actual new enhancements for like what the technical lighting would look like if you were to turn this on, versus where I think that's why it's tripping a lot of people's sensors, where they're like, hey, that's not actually how she would look if they made the lighting have like more depth and realism to it. So I think there's something being lost here because I don't think it's just this like diametrically opposed, like, Brad's on this one side, which I don't think you are, Brad, but I think like that's how the argument's being set up. And I don't think that's applied at all. Like we need to be more nuanced about how we're taking apart these different things we're seeing in the demo, and also adding the fact that Will just said that this is a demo, right? Like how many times when like new technology is piloted, they're like, this is what it's going to look like. And then when it actually releases, it's not that. It was almost, more like they're imagining of how it could be. I'll leave it at that
Real
for
quick,
now.
I will say what NVIDIA said is that not only they're hoping to have more control for the developer, like how much they actually like a wet and dry mix. I don't know a way to say it in developer
like
terms,
an
but
audio
for
mix.
audio mix, yeah, you have wet and dry, like how much is being applied to the effects versus the.
I want all the way dry on this.
I know, but like, so you might be able to tweak like, okay, how strong is it versus not, whatever.
Yeah, they were saying they have different sliders and stuff. Yeah.
But then also for the end user too, because then, I mean, at the end of the day, theoretically, you can just turn this on and off.
I kind of hate that they called this DLSS 5.
Yeah, that's one of the big things for me is because DLSS is a time-saving tool for everyone involved. It improves the game's performance, lets you do things that you can't do otherwise. And this is a thing that is going to add an incredible amount of time for the people whose studios decide to implement it.
Well, I did ask that. I was like, do you think this is going to take developers more or less time to work with?
And what did the NVIDIA people say?
They said, we don't know yet. It's too early.
So for me, like the thing that gets me about this whole thing is they spent billions and billions and billions of dollars, and we as users have spent thousands of dollars buying hardware that lets us do real-time ray tracing in video games, like full path tracing, real lighting models. And yeah, that means that sometimes you have shadows on faces, because in the real world, if you wear a hat or if you have bangs, you're going to have a shadow on your face, right? And then they're taking that and they're like, well, you know what? This real-time lighting model stuff is really good. It's a huge pain in the butt to run. It means that we get much worse frame rates. We have to do a bunch of other AI nonsense to make it get to a performance point. And then we're going to throw it out because there's too many shadows in the courtyard of Oblivion, and there's too many shadows on these characters' faces. And like, to me, it feels like you get one or the other, but not both, right? We had fully lit faces 15 years ago. That wasn't a problem. Like Deus Ex had that in 2000. They shined the light on the face texture. That material was almost emissive
nice.
for the characters in that game. You could always see what JT was talking about. But like, was it JT? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is JC, thanks. But the point is, like, when you like that courtyard in Oblivion is lit like that because an artist went through and said, okay, the sun's going to be here, but at nighttime we want to have torches here and here and here and here and here, and there's going to be dark places and there's going to be light places, and you need both of those for the game to work and feel like a living place. And when you super bright everything, it doesn't, the result isn't it isn't what those artists meant to do, and B, I mean, yes, I know that they said they worked with artists, but they didn't work with the entire team of people that worked on Oblivion Remastered. They pulled in a couple of people here and there, and like, I guarantee you, I mean, I'm assuming, just to be clear, but I assume that somebody at NVIDIA was like, at Bethesda was like, hey, I need somebody to work on this thing for NVIDIA who's got some time right now. And then the three people who had a moment got in and they did their best with what they had. And then they shipped it off. And then Todd Howard was like, we are so excited about this technology from our partner.
That's an assumption.
It is an assumption.
Here, back to this question, though. The thing is, we already have, I guess I don't fully understand the artistic intent thing, because that's assuming that what a developer put out is their true vision. From what I've heard, making games, like any art, like it's compromises left and right. So when you're shipping game, it's not like you're like, that's exactly how I wanted it the whole way through.
But it's
I know
300 people making art, singular decisions over and over and over again.
Well, but then also at the end of the day, you have, or at least on the PC, which is why PC is awesome, is that you have then on your side the control over it. Because I did look at this thing over here. People don't realize this maybe about Resident Evil Requiem, but the actual look of like Claire without this whole DLSS, Grace, whatever, without this whole thing,
New Claire.
Her character model, depending on what platform you're looking on, and depending on what like settings you're using, versus low versus ultra, path trace, whatever, looks completely different. So which one was the artistic intention?
That was another comment I had about this. It seemed like they purposefully picked the worst possible representative shots for the art in the base game for some of these. Like, it does not look that bad as it looks in that Grace example.
Well, because there's before these memes, I saw plenty of memes of like, oh, the if you look at the Claire model on the PS5, the base PS5 versus the path trace PC one, that looks like a completely different character model. Like, which one is the artistic intent on that one?
I mean, there's a reason I play on the PC, man.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So it's just like, I guess I don't understand. I don't fully understand.
I agree with that. I do think that everything that we're seeing, I think, is somewhere in those character models, and the AI is pulling that out. Like, I don't think NVIDIA is lying about that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think they're lying about anything.
I saw no indication.
Changing the lighting source fully in these things, and using AI to do it, rather than the actual computational math.
I'm going to push back and say they're not changing the lighting source. It's using color and motion vectors, and they tell me if it's already path traced, then they it's already accurately doing. So they're saying like, okay, and maybe you can help describe this, or at least I've learned this from I went back and watched the Resident Evil Requiem video from Alex that was like a week ago or whatever at Digital Foundry. He was looking at the PC version specifically, and he was saying, and once again, I'm out of my league here, but he was like, hey, I'm in this room and there's so many lights, but the cost of making all of these emissive lights or shadow casting lights or whatever is too much, so they had to do what they could in this space. So essentially what this is doing is saying, okay, well, what if all of those lights were affecting your character model and the environment and stuff like that in real time. And what is it? What was the other word? Deterministic, right?
So that means if you run that 10 times, it's going to look the same.
Yeah.
Which is it
Gen
is AI a problem.
So it is generative, but it's generating what the lighting is doing and applying that, because a lot of those lights aren't actually doing anything. They look like lights, but they're not actually emitting anything, if that makes sense.
Adam is saying that there are 4 lights.
Yeah.
Well, I think they went too hard on it. Then is my problem. And maybe if they do have sliders, they should at least dial it back in the faces, because getting those faces blasted like that is not a good look. That 15-year-old kid from Hogwarts, that man looked like he was about to file his taxes in a divorce paper.
Yeah.
Well,
He's seen some stuff, man.
well, so actually, this is my biggest. I think the biggest problem is how it was presented. Jensen got on stage at a GTC keynote, which is about, whatever AI stuff it is about, data center.
It had
stuff.
the worst data center graph
Yeah.
immediately following that. I was like looking at this slide and he was like, this is the best slide I've ever done. I was like, dog, you are
It was the fonts they were using, like Comic Sans.
full fart huffing mode, man.
Well, but
You know what? Maybe dyslexia friendly.
and
I mean, look, I do respect that.
And so he's just kind of, he's like, oh, hey, here's the history. Here's how we got here. And then now AI is coming back into video games, and then had the sizzle reel and was like, isn't that cool? Cool. Now we're moving on. Like, I think this is so important that it deserved the time it took for. I remember when he got on stage with ray tracing. I think you were there, right? At the keynote at Gamescom, where he
I was.
took half an hour to explain how light works, right? And like how it's bouncing off something or how it's reflective. Like, it needed this level of understanding of, this is how light works. Because people are used to video game lighting. They're not used to studying and looking at normal lighting. Like, I feel like also as a photographer, I'm always studying what the lighting is doing on something. Like, looking at this can, okay, where's the shadow on it? Where's the reflection on it? Like it's wrapped around the can and it's starting to fall off here, I obsess about these things all the time anyway. And most people don't. And I don't expect them to. So I think Jensen should have came on stage and gave half an hour to an hour to say, hey, this is what it is exactly doing. Because apropos of no information, people are like, oh, that looks like AI. And there's a reason why it looks like AI too, because I've been thinking about this. But Elena, you have something you want to?
No, I want you to finish that thought first, actually, because it may actually change what I say.
Well, because I was thinking about this too. I was like I totally get why people look at that at the Claire video and is like, oh, that looks like AI slop.
It 100% looks like AI slop.
I know, but the question I have is why do people think it looks like AI slop?
Because they see a.
I know. Hold on.
Okay.
No.
I have some quotes from people.
No. I know that's great.
You do. You really do.
Yeah.
I did not plan to run them, but I have a couple. Yeah.
I mean, did you get permission?
No.
Okay. Well,
they post them on the internet. It's fair game.
Okay.
Man.
Okay. Yeah. If it's public.
Public.
Yeah. That's fine. So where was I? Sorry. You made me lose my.
I'm sorry.
They say it looks like AI slop.
They say it looks like AI slop. That's because, number one, this is a model. NVIDIA told, I did ask them, who's doing the training? Is the developers doing the training? Are you doing the training? And they said it's a more generalized model.
I'm gonna go turn the flower off.
Yeah, please, thank you. It's like every half hour.
Not so whimsical now, is it?
I know, right?
I win this argument.
So this made me anyway. Sorry.
Quiet for a while.
Thank you. I am so lost in my train of thought here.
I'm sorry.
The more generalized model.
And they did tell me the Resident Evil one was actually an earlier model because they worked longer with Capcom compared to some of the other ones, for whatever that's worth, whatever. But also, this made me think of back when I used to do the smartphone camera testing. And one of the things that people would continually point out is, especially when you would look at the differences of the camera or the photo that was taken from an iPhone versus a Samsung phone. It's the same scene, but it's rendered in two different ways.
Their
Apple
exposure setting.
And not just exposure, but also what it's doing on the back end.
Yeah.
How much HDR-ness do you want? How much
lutzing.
sharpening?
Yeah.
Like the companies are intentionally putting their own filter on it, sure, however you want to call it, to present what the image that you see. And 9 times out of 10, people always liked the Samsung one. Why? Because it was way more contrasty. I didn't like it. I actually usually liked the Apple one. I mean, depending on the scene, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's a person, maybe you want a little bit more contrast and more, that kind of stuff. But maybe in a scene, it's like, oh no, yeah.
It's like the TVs at Best Buy, right? Like
Yeah.
you go to Best Buy, you're looking at the wall of TVs, and they all have them on like eye blast mode
Yeah.
because they're trying to be brighter and more colorful than the one next to them because that's what
Oh,
people
yeah.
buy.
So I think why
And-
people look at this and think this is AI slop is because a lot of the AI slop that is out there is highly contrasted. Like it's feeding us what it thinks it wants to see. And if you look at those AI photos, that like it's always like super high contrast and super sharp and detailed and all that kind of stuff. So I think also, in the back of our heads we look at that and we say, oh, this is super contrasty. This is super, really punches compared to the original version, that this looks like AI. But it's not, but I actually don't think it is. Like before AI, things were always really contrasty, and you can really change the way somebody's shape looks just by lighting.
Well, of course.
I used to do it all the time.
And makeup.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well,
I
but
know
they're
Brad wants to
saying,
talk.
sorry, real quick, they're saying that they did not change the character model at all. So until somebody proves otherwise, this did not change anything about, we should take them, like Brad said, at face value.
I will just say I believe them. I think HDR and sharpening, over sharpening, are the two biggest issues here.
Okay, so Adam, listening to you, I feel like there's a couple of things in your argument that don't wash for me. Like when you were saying earlier that like, hey, well, the game has never had like one definitive true version of these characters. Just look at the console version. Well, this is not going to be on console. So to me, that's not a fair comparison. So we need to stick with what the model that they have presented for PC and comparing it within that space to begin with. And then within that space, to talk to your point about, being a photographer, looking how light hits, I respect all that. But I think that's what the argument is here. So if you are a design artist, to use, some of what Will was telling us earlier about how the pipeline works for video game creation, is what this filter adding actually true to the intent for that scene, for the character's mood, the general game vibe, all of that? And like, to me, this is a very interesting argument. You may see some of this in the newsletter this week. I actually am not going to get super in depth with it because I actually want to focus more on the technical side today rather than maybe the artistic implications. I mean, we end up talking about it. But for me, the question I have around this, because I haven't really spoken yet about my kind of more nuanced thoughts about this, is this a reflection? How do I put this? Is our reactions to this a reactions to the technology, or are we reacting to how the technology has been trained, right? Because if this is based on AI, it has to have been trained on some kind of models, right? Or some kind of the models have to have been trained on some kind of data. And we already see this in other forms of AI right now, where, honestly, one of the biggest problems is that the quality and the breadth and the diversity of that information is not accurately reflecting the human experience. And that's why I can't capture all the nuances. Like, how many times have, you queried ChatGPT to give you a more detailed explanation for something because it sounds very knowledgeable off the bat, where it's like, hey, it's like these 5 things are what make this a thing. And you're like, great, drill down into that. And it keeps trying, but it can't because it doesn't have the data to be able to regurgitate that, right? So similarly for this demo, I'm wondering, what information are they using to train that, right? So Adam, you as somebody who values lighting, you're seeing a bunch of details that make you excited for it, but everybody else is coming to it from a more aggregated perhaps point of view. And I feel like we need to talk a little bit more about, again, kind of hearkening back to a thing I said previously about NVIDIA and their use of AI and how that affects game performance. What should we be demanding as people who are going to, one way or the other, be exposed to this. We may not be able to afford it. All of us maybe just end up being on the sidelines commenting on it, but we're going to be exposed to it. And I think if we're going to be a commenting public, I think we should be smart about how we comment on it, because that does shape what happens, right? Because I think in some ways, this is the crux of the question. Who has control here? Is it the artist? Is it the game maker? Is it the audience? I saw several comments. I've been saving them actually while people have been talking in chat. Like, is it the audience who says, I don't care about what the artist's vision is. I want the game to look the way I want it to look. And to me, that's photorealism. Or is there something in between? Yeah. So, Brad, I know you had something to say. I will pass it to you.
No, I just, what you're saying there actually cuts to something I was saying earlier. Like, yes, it does have color. It does have motion vectors. It's clearly trained as a general model off of a whole lot of other data. I believe that a lot of that data was video based, and a lot of it was from social networks and YouTube. And that's why we're seeing this halo effect. And every single one of these people, like, I think the lighting got baked into the model. Like, I think it's totally different from what you would naturally expect to see there. And I think that's part of the reason why it hits wrong.
So real quick, I do want to, like, I really wish you were there, because the technical stuff, like, I was out of my league on. But for me, what they're training specifically is how lighting interacts with objects.
So it's the material shaders. Like, this is what material shaders do. Is the material shaders determine how emissive and reflective and subsurface scattering and all those different things.
Yeah. So some people were like, oh, this kind of looks like, and I can't remember which game, where it literally did have lighting on the character the whole time, like that wasn't in the scene. This is not that. I know you're saying it looks like that, and that's why I'm curious. Like, that's why this whole time I'm like, okay, why do people think it looks like that? Like, as a photographer, I always try to, like, back engineer stuff. Like, why? Like, look at the original scenes, and then look at the DLSS ones, and they're all front lit. I know, but I walked around the environments. Yeah. Like, I looked at the demos. Once again, I didn't look at Resident Evil, so maybe that is a completely different thing. But and actually, I think the Resident Evil one doesn't have enough examples either. It's pretty static. Where the other ones, like, I did walk around Starfield, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this light is not static. Like, when they showed all the other demos, like, the characters' faces, like, the lighting was not static. It was being, like, lit.
In that case, I will say maybe they shouldn't have done it. Use the demo example being 5 character faces that are blowing out front lights.
Yeah. But also, like, I really think this was just not, this wasn't treated with the amount of, like, care it needed to. Yeah. He kind of went up on stage and was just like, oh yeah, here it is, cool. By the way, let's talk about stuff. It's just like, no, you got to take some time. You got to explain this, man.
That is the big problem now that NVIDIA is so focused on AI. When things used to get introduced at these briefings, they would still have 2-hour-long Jensen, talks, but it would be, here's half an hour on how ray tracing works, how foveated rendering works, why this is awesome. We don't get any of that explanation anymore. I do think that the materials rendering, all that stuff, material shaders, looks amazing. Like, I like all the environments. If they do really have different sliders to intensify effects and occlude things like came out after the GTC keynote, I just think they should really dial it down on the faces. Because having the faces blown out and then over sharpened, it just looks like AI.
Well, I think, well, the thing is that I think the way people design worlds right now is the game designers, they're designing what the world looks like, but then they're also designing where the lights are in this world. So they're not thinking about the fact that, oh, this big sky, like the thing in this one, in the Resident Evil one, is that, like, that big diffuse sky overhead is doing things in the DLSS 5 version, kind of like this. This is why we have a huge big softbox above us. Because, it
makes me look pretty.
It does something very specific.
Actually, looking at through the webcam, I can actually see almost like a haze at the top of your heads because the webcam can't, like, properly pull in the lighting right way.
And I don't think that the developers, I mean, they didn't think about that. Like, they didn't build it with everything being lit the way it would be lit. They built it.
No, they do. This is their whole job. They think about this stuff. They think about how the character is going to look in the scenes when they're walking through them, and they even change sometimes on a AAA game. They'll change the lighting shader that runs on the characters' faces for different environments. So like they'll have different shaders running on their faces. Grace will have different stuff running on her. I mean, I don't think you see Grace's face all that much, but like you'll have different things running on the characters in like the indoor closed dark environments and the outdoor diffuse lit environments. Like there's an incredible amount of work that goes into this stuff. And like I actually, in terms of the lighting, I think the Grace example is the least bad one that they showed, because like they're not full brighting her face. She's a little bit brighter than she is otherwise, and there's a little bit less shadow on like the lower left cheek, but the rest of it is pretty like reasonably done. I think when you look at some of those other characters where they're like shaded by their hat, like the Leon shot, yes, they yassified the hell out of Leon, but I mean, that's kind of impressive because they went from like 11 to like 15. But
Didn't know it was possible.
Yeah, I assumed the computers would have blown up and said, no, we can't do that anymore. But like taking away the shadows that are cast by the face makes them look less real, which is like having self-shadowing characters is an amazing technical achievement that we spent 25 years getting to, and now flipping the switch on that to turn it back off is really shockingly weird to me.
Yeah, and I think part of the reasons I have issues with the lighting and the faces and stuff like that is because it might just be because these games weren't designed to have that level of intensity and sharpening ever shown through what they had previously designed in game.
Well, once again, I really like you're saying. I mean, but that's what path tracing is trying to do. It's trying to accurately have the light represent
the light.
Yeah, what the light is, right? But like, and then there's baked lighting, which does not, like
doesn't affect the characters.
I know, but they have to bake it, but then they still put the lightings in the scene, so it still can.
The lighting is placed by a human to determine it's think of it like a gaffer on a film set, right? There's a person there that goes up and the director tells them where to put the lights to make the shot look like they want it to look. Now in games it's more complicated because you don't control the shot and you don't control where the players go and you don't control a lot of things. So you have to do much more general approaches than you would if you're on like a soundstage in LA someplace, right? But it's the same concept, right? And no one's going to coming in and
I know, but the thing is, like, I guess the difference for me is that are you saying every light that a designer places in the scene can accurately portray the light in the scene? I mean, that's what path tracing's trying to do,
that's
right?
The whole point of path tracing.
Yeah.
Is that you're doing that and you're making it impact. So in the fixed light world, the pre-baked lights only affect the environment. They don't really affect the players. So then we did a bunch of stuff on the player models to kind of cheat. When they're in dark areas, they look darker. When they're in light areas, they look lighter. But you don't have things like if there's a light source over there where the camera is, then I wouldn't have a shadow cast on my hand behind my arm because you can't. It just the math doesn't work in a fixed lighting environment, a pre-baked lighting environment. When you have path tracing, that does work. So if I have my gun over here and I have a hand with a flashlight out and somebody else is looking at me, this gun is going to be shadowed where if there's a light source over opposite my arm. And that is like, that's the whole point of all of this work that we've done over the last 20 years that they've spent billions and billions and billions of dollars on. And so then coming out and being like, yo, we're going to put some like.
So you're talking about this shot, right?
I'm talking about that shot.
Yeah. So right now there's like
this is the shot of the guy in Starfield.
Yeah. But like the shadow from his cheek all the way up to the top of his hat is literally the same. But that's not real.
It's not on the
I know,
other one.
like because that is not like it's a fall off effect, right? It doesn't have an accurate fall off. Like that looks like, oh, hey, it's dark right here because there's the lid. Right?
Yeah.
Here, it's the same darkness all the way. That's not.
Well, it depends on where the light is.
I know exactly. Yeah. So like it was built to, like in my mind, like yes, I understand why it looks like that's really pretty, but this one feels more accurate to me.
I guess for me, it's do you want your video games to look like they're shot like a TV show or a movie, or do you want them to depict how light works in real life? And for me, I want it to look like real life. Like when I'm out in outer space shooting a bunch of aliens, I want those aliens to look like real life aliens with real life lights in outer life. I don't want it to look like Star Trek in 1967.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that if this is so limited to just realistic lighting, then yeah, that's like that sucks because like I don't think
I have things to say. But sorry, you guys are having such a great back and forth here. While Will is like defending the honor of his profession,
which I get.
Don't put that on me. Don't put that X on me, Elena.
But yeah, like, I mean, I am interrupting, but it's mostly because I think it's kind of fascinating to hear you both kind of get into the weeds on this. Because on the one hand, Adam was saying like you're going for realism, you're looking at it from a photographer's point of view, but as Will just pointed out, there is so much artistic interpretation in photography and cinematography. I mean, how many times have we watched a movie and it's like some kind of romantic scene or something, right? So everything is drenched in like beautiful, soft lighting, like, kind of gives like, the romantic interest, this kind of, visual cue to the audience that like this is how this person is seeing the other person, right? It's not accurate to the actual lighting. Like, how many times have we looked at ourselves in a photo and we're like, oh, I look awful. The lighting's awful in my face. That's accurate realism, right? To some degree to what the scene is. But then like the person who loves you is like, you look amazing today, right? Like it's also, so it's very subjective. And so for Will to also then say that you prefer realistic lighting, I don't know. I feel like you two need to work out these details because ultimately, again, to me, this is an argument of like, what are we looking to have represented in the games? What level of realism? What level of art, like, or artistic vision?
And that's up to the game designers. Yes, like this doesn't change that. Like this isn't adding
That's
lights.
a question for everybody, though.
I know, but this isn't
That's the
adding
question for
lights.
everybody.
This isn't adding lights where lights.
No, it's
weren't.
changing the way the lights work. Then from
Yeah, exactly.
which
Yeah.
So like
Well, no, because if it's changing how it's hitting, right? Like, sorry, I'm just really like have to get in with Zoom. It's kind of hard, to give the cues here. But it's so like here's the thing. Even in photography, right? You're in a studio. You're like, okay, well, the natural light coming through is not hitting the person the way I want. So you add like fill lights here and there. And is that light hitting them accurately for that fill light? Yes, but it's overriding what would have naturally been the room environment. So to me, that's where the fine line is. You're frowning, but
No,
if you
no,
just said
I-
the same thing about the set.
because like I mean, in any of these examples, it's not like I didn't see anywhere where it was hallucinating where lighting was coming from. Like
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about artistic vision, right? So you're saying that you are looking at a scene and you're saying like, oh, I'm seeing shadows there where there should have been. That's accurate. That's what I want to see. But I'm also saying that there could be a situation, and I don't know if this is the case for these demos. It's so early. That's another thing that we have been talking about already. But let's just say in some world where this is the final product, I'm not saying it is, just want to emphasize that, in a world where this is the final product, and you see a shadow on the table and everyone else is saying, wow, this environment looks too blown out, too contrasted, whatever, is the specific complaint. What I'm saying is that maybe for you, you're like, great, the shadows are there. But perhaps the artistic vision of the video game originally was, we actually want to create a mood because you're not seeing these shadows. We actually want to create maybe like a mild, uncanny, like you can't pick it up, but why valley kind of vibe for people who are sensitive to those details. I don't know if that would be the case in a specific game. Like maybe it is related to technical limitations from previous, eras or like the current era that we're in. But I'm just saying that I think there is such a mishmash of like intent and execution that we don't know yet from this demo, that it's actually really hard to suss out where this is going to go, what criticism we should be levying towards it. I don't think it's wrong personally for people to have a hot take from just seeing it, because we are so deeply wired to be like, ugh, uncanny valley. We don't like that. It is just so deep in us that like you feel it viscerally. Just feels bad in the body when you see stuff that doesn't feel like right.
So, go ahead, Brad. You've been trying to talk for like 5 minutes.
Sorry, man.
I was just going to say one of the
There's a lot to talk about.
truisms in game development, and this I first heard this from Rami Ismail years ago. But it's when you're doing testing for a game, when you bring in blind testers who've never seen your game before, not people who are blind, but people who are not familiar with your product, and you put them down in front of the game, and then you watch them play, and you collect feedback from them at the end, and they tell you what they don't like and what they did like, and then usually they follow it up with, here's what I would do to make this better. The things that they say to make it better are almost always wrong. Like, because they don't understand the decisions that went into making this. They didn't understand any of the business, like how you got to this point. But if they say, hey, I don't
nuance,
like this, or I do like this, those are a strong signal that you should always listen to. And when yeah, I get that people at NVIDIA worked on this a long time and like invested a lot of effort and energy and time and stuff in this. But when the universal reaction to something is so negative, like I don't ever remember seeing anything that people came out hating this hard. Like, I
agree.
And not just developers, not just player, like literally everybody saw. I showed it to my wife who doesn't really play these kinds of games at all. And she's like, wow, what the hell do they do to this? This looks terrible. And I didn't precede it. I was just like, hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, the one on the right looks like garbage. I was like, okay, I'm good.
Did you ask why? Because
Yeah.
that's like,
Yeah,
I'm
but
wondering,
the-
like, why does she think it looks garbage?
So she said it looked like a bad Instagram ad with an AI filter. And then somebody else in my Blue Sky replies nailed it because he was like, yeah, this looks like all those AI porn bot ads. And I don't like that. That looks bad. I don't want my video games to look like that. So yeah,
Or Disney sponsorship.
like when you get this kind of signal, the right answer isn't dig in and bear. It's to figure out why people are upset by it and then do better. Like that. Like just to be clear, that's where I land on this.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is a tool that they're giving to a developer. So yes, we need to see more developers using this. Like,
Yeah.
Or not.
That's
I'm
like-
fine either way.
I mean, or you can turn it off. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, like,
like taking just like 1,000-foot step back. Like I agree. Like I think some developers are going to want to use this, and it'll be awesome for those folks who want to use it. They can do things that they couldn't do before if they thought path tracing was too computationally intensive. Blah blah blah. I do think they should look at this feedback and at least take a step back and look at the faces. But really, getting back to my earlier comment, I wish they didn't call this DLSS because DLSS is performance enhancement tools for gamers and for developers. Like the point of it is to show what is happening in the game. And the whole point of this is adding something that's outside of the game. That is not what that lighting is originally computed to do. No, because they designed these
Adam's shaking
games.
his head.
They know the math that they run on these lighting models. They know how, the reason you don't see them looking like that in the game is because they don't have lighting that intense on those faces for that reason. It's adding stuff that's not the original intent of the math being run on the game is, I suppose, probably the best way that I can say it.
Is it too soon to say that this is this era's Tress FX?
Do people hate
That's real
Tress
funny.
FX? Or were they just upset because it didn't run on NVIDIA cards?
Yeah. And then NVIDIA had something like that too for hair that they put in The Witcher, and everyone with AMD got mad.
I guess we'll see if any of these developers, like if Capcom comes out and says, actually, you know what, this isn't what we wanted it to look like at all. So like, I mean, like you're saying that it doesn't look how they intended, but as far as we know right now, they gave their blessing to these. So
That's fine. But what I'm saying is that they do their own math. They run their own programming. They know what they want this lighting to look like. If the developer chooses to use this so it looks like NVIDIA's AI model, fine, that's great. If you choose to do that in the future, that's on you. What I'm saying is that this fundamentally changes, like it adds stuff that's not in the game. That math is not in the game, and I don't like that for DLSS.
but and what they're at least what NVIDIA is claiming is that what if it could be in the game, right? What if you could say, oh, you know what, like instead of having to manually do this, all this, you know, like whatever, you know, like and not have lights that actually, I mean, because once again, I know I keep coming back to it, but I really hate lights in scenes that don't actually do anything. Like it's a light sitting there, but it's actually not doing anything. It's not casting shadows. It's not actually lighting anything. It's just sitting there. It's just a light. Because that's not how lights
It's
work.
a fake light.
Yeah, so it's like sure, that was the developer's intent, I guess. But why is it not intending to do anything? I mean, maybe because of budget constraints. Maybe they were like, if that light actually did something,
Well, it'd be
then the
performance budget
performance.
constraints,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like that's the thing is that
Maybe.
you're assuming that they didn't bake it that way already because that was an intentional choice. And I'm saying maybe they just didn't have the tools. Like
That's not what I'm assuming at all, actually. I'm just saying that's not the way that it was mapped into the game, and DLSS is adding stuff that is new to the game using AI models. Like, yes, it might take color mapping and motion vectors. You can do basic geometric math with that, but the actual lighting sources and stuff like that is not information that was in the game. It's being added by DLSS. and it's clearly over sharpening the faces.
So the sharpening thing is actually an interesting thing because it's also how light reacts to a surface, right? Like when what you're saying looks sharp is because you're actually getting shadows on all the things like a skin texture, right? If you don't have shadow on the little pores, like that's why people have pores on their faces, because it's tiny little shadows inside of the pore. And
I know how it all works, man.
Yeah.
It just looks terrible.
I know, but
this implementation.
I'm just saying that's why it looks over sharpened, is because actually now there's shadow in the pores that weren't there before. Like, should it be that much shadow in the pores? Maybe they overdid it, sure, but yeah.
The funniest bug to me, looking through all this stuff this morning and last night in the Hogwarts, I think it was the Hogwarts one that had the older lady, the lady who looked real ragged after the DLSS 5 is on. If you pay attention to her scarf, it's shadowed with DLSS off, but DLSS 5 couldn't figure it out, and it just turns the shadow into a larger blue scarf underneath it. So it's adding stuff that's not in the game, is my point.
I will say that I'm not sitting here. I mean, this is not my product. I don't give two
Noted
craps if anyone
DLSS
uses
5
it.
stan Adam Patrick Murray.
Sure, whatever. But like, and there were times where it wasn't accurate. Like walking around Starfield, there were times where I was like, oh, that actually should be doing something when it's not. But there was more times than not it was doing something that it should be doing, that I was like, heck yeah. Like this is.
I think
I
actually think it's super cool tech. Like, I can see a lot of developers actually liking it if they're trying to make photorealistic games, but the implementation is going to matter, and I'm real curious. I think they missed the initial reveal.
This could have been a GDC. Why not talk about this at GDC, where like game developers are actually there?
So to be clear, when they did the ACE stuff last year and the talking to your computer, convincing it to do things with natural language stuff, they had the people who made those demos standing there talking to you, right? Which is a completely different experience, because then we can ask them questions like, hey, why does Leon look super yassified here? Which, like, you don't have the opportunity when you're filtering through like 3 layers of people who are doing the implementation side on the graphics driver side. I just like, I don't understand. Like, this is, it kind of reminds me of Reshade. Are you guys familiar with Reshade? Reshade is a thing you inject into the graphics pipeline like toward the end in the driver model, and you can do things like add an insane amount of sharpening to it, which people do in competitive games to give them an edge theoretically in like PUBG and games where you're shooting small people far away so that you can pick up the movement better, right? But at the same time, you can also do other things with Reshade, like fake HDR, and also like add basically live Instagram filters on top of your video game render. And like, the beautiful part about the PC is that you can do that, right? Like, I will support people's ability to make their games look like hot garbage all day long, but I don't want, like, to me, this doesn't feel like a thing that should be part of the DLSS package. This feels like they could put it in the driver level, whatever. DLSS to me is, hey, we're doing we're taking the thing that's there, making it run faster, better, whatever, and this is over that line. And like I said,
me too.
Like, my reaction is negative. My solution is probably wrong. So, go nuts.
Also, I'm not a big mod guy anyway. Like, there's people who love to go in and mod games.
What, you want your clean faces, Adam?
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, look, there's a whole other weird layer of this whole thing that we don't need to get into here. But yeah.
So I guess for me, it's just like I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, that's why I'm trying to ask questions of like, okay, well, why do you think that looks that way? Why do you not like the way it looks? Like, but then also like not understanding like the way you find that out is you make 100 variations of the image at different levels of yassified, and then you go through and you do a bunch of A/B comparisons with people, asking them which one they prefer, and you drill it down, because the thing is, our brains are terrible at this. Like, human brains are terrible. Like, you pick up and you lock in on one thing, and then you make that decision, and that's your answer, and people dig in, and you literally can't ask them these kinds of questions, because the answers they give you are going to be useless. The only way you can do it is by empirically drilling down until you like
try just the shadows, and then you try just the contouring, and then you try just the lip filler, and then you try, and then eventually you get to a place where
But
they
they're
don't
not
like
doing
it.
that.
Dude,
They claim that they're not
I know
doing
they
that.
say they're not doing it. I look
So
at the picture
until we have
and
evidence.
her lips are bigger and her eyes are bigger. I mean, and I realize you can do that
Wait.
with makeup and all that.
No, you can do that with lighting.
you could do that with lighting and makeup, but
I want somebody to have an expose. Like maybe Steve needs to get on this. Steve, reach out to Capcom and be like, hey, did you change that character model? Like somebody needs to come out with that and be like, oh my God, you know what? They actually
they can
made
do it with
the
materials
lips
too,
big.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but as of right now,
Here's
they're
the
claiming
thing.
they didn't. So
Here's the thing though, like that's the other thing that I think there's also like there's so much nuance to me on this, right? When you said Capcom and that there's like back and forth, I've worked in previous jobs with Japanese companies, specifically video games and like manga and anime, right? And they have a very specific approach to how they like things done. Right? They want things to look a certain way. They want them to be executed a certain way. Now, obviously, these are now international teams, so there is going to be some influence from that. But depending on how the company is run, if the Japanese upper management, keeps kind of like a tight control over that process, that you may end up seeing different iterations, even though, and that may be causing us to debate them like technical issues. So we don't actually know, as Will said, what's actually going on here behind the scenes with the demos until there's more like upfront. I don't even think it's called A/B testing, but just like different variations. I can, from a kind of inside baseball, behind the scenes look at publishing, I can tell you that so many times I've worked with art directors, like anybody in an artist medium who has to then deal with the public who does not have the vocabulary or knowledge to communicate what they want. And there is a lot of this interpretation, right? Where like you talk to your art director and you're like, can you make that image stand out a little bit more? Like, I don't know, make it bigger. And they just go, I got you. And they actually do the thing that will make it have that visual impact, right? But they're not actually doing, as Will said, the thing that you specifically asked for, because if you start micromanaging at that level, it just becomes terrible. Like, that's what happened with my haircut this past week.
Yeah, you can't
like,
micromanage
that are
the
honestly
hair
artistic
cutter.
medium.
Yeah, no.
Right? So it's like, it could be the artist's vision not being executed properly. It could be, creative control from management where they look at it, somebody in management looks at it and they're like, that's a realistically rendered scene lighting wise. It looks awful. We don't want our characters to be thought of that way. Change it. It could be that one person is giving a feedback that the artist is desperately trying to implement in a way that satisfies it, but has technical limitations, or it's just not going to get done the way they want. And I think there's just a lot we haven't seen from this one demo. And I have, over the conversation, I've come to Brad's point with this, that it was not presented in a way that would quell a lot of this reaction, that would not manage it. I'm actually honestly a little surprised because NVIDIA is honestly very good, like among the big companies, are very good at managing expectations and like
those
directing
jackets,
attention.
The jackets, the books, all the crap on the tables looks so good with this. It's just the faces that they highlighted in the middle look so bad. I still dislike it fundamentally, some of it, for the other reasons I mentioned, but like they could have done way better, I think.
Let's get to some questions. Unless there's any other.
Or just skip to questions? Is that what you're saying?
No. Questions
Oh, okay.
specifically about this.
Wow, I was going to say, wow, that was
We have
fast.
great comments, honestly.
Yeah.
People have like contributing fantastic comments in the chat.
Friend of the show, Boria Zero asked, do you think DLSS 5 launch this fall indicates next-gen GPUs or significant refresh from NVIDIA arriving end of this year, as it might be impossible to run current on Blackwell cards?
No.
I don't think this indicates, no.
I mean, I think you can make an assumption about what the performance of the next gen cards will be, but I don't. I bet that this is technology that was originally destined for 6th gen, and then 6th gen got pushed, and they were like, well, we gotta have something for the nerds at
I agree.
Yeah.
We got to remember, we've had Jensen, you asked him the question at CES, I think, Adam.
Mm.
Who do you think long-term graphics cards are going to be? Tom Peterson, who used to lead graphics at NVIDIA and is now leading graphics at Intel, or at least is part of it. They both said, like, in the future, I think there's going to be more AI stuff and just basic math going out. So this might be the start of that tide.
They had another question from Boria Zero. If you have to guess the percentage, how many games will benefit from DLSS 5 as it will allow devs to achieve something that was possible before because of hardware limitations, versus how many titles will get butchered as DLSS 5 takes the image in completely different directions than the original intended by the artist?
I think we're not going to see anywhere near as high DLSS 5 adoption as we see now. Like adding in frame gen, adding in super sampling, there's no reason not to do that. It makes sense. I mean, you could have some reason not to, but for the broad strokes, there's not. DLSS 5 to me is a fundamentally different thing for all the reasons we were just talking about. And I think there's going to be a lot of developers who just choose not to use it. It doesn't fit what we're trying to do here. And I think there are just mostly AAA developers who are shooting for that ultimate photorealism stuff, but doesn't want to do path tracing due to performance reasons or any other reason. And they might use it and come out ahead of it. I think we're going to see much less adoption of DLSS 5 than base DLSS. And I think we're probably going to see a few train wrecks. But if developers truly do have levels of control over this, I think we'll see it from some and not from others.
I mean,
I also
go ahead,
wonder. Sorry, I also wonder too how much of this will also be just growing pains with new technology. So taking out the part of the equation where we like it, we don't like it, we think it's good, we think it's bad for the industry part stuff. Just from an implementation standpoint, right? There was a comment, I think, in the chat just now from the show Noenkin that was talking about, materials and how they're built. And I was starting to think too, like, how many times have we done things where we've upscaled old games or tried to move them that were originally on CRT to now our current displays, and it doesn't quite match because those designers specifically were working with the constraints they had, and now you've changed what those parameters are, and it looks like garbage because it wasn't designed for those parameters. And so I wonder with this, and again, it's so early days, we just saw a few minutes of sample footage, like how many of the even initial games that launch with this will look not as good as we expect or hope or whatever word you want to use, because they started making that game before this came out, and they're trying to now adapt, and they're also probably having to bridge the fact that this is only going to be available to some PCs with this level of performance capable of running this additional stuff. And then there's going to be, as you pointed out, the console users and the handheld users and everybody else. And they're going to probably also have to balance those buckets as well.
There's dozens of us.
I don't know. That's my kind of roundabout answer to this, which is probably got to wait and see too for how this shakes out.
So sorry, I forgot to bring this up because that is a funny point too. I've seen so many people have that whole artistic intent argument too. From stuff that was built to be displayed on CRTs and stuff that wasn't, like pixel games. It reminds me also of that same kind of thing of no, they built it to be displayed on a CRT. No, they built it to have the individual pixels shown, and it's I don't know.
I mean, look,
on that answer.
Look, what you need is some NVIDIA Pulsar monitors, and you need to run some reshade filters on it, and then you'll get really good phosphor emulation. And it's going to take a 5090 and a $700 monitor to make this work, to make this game from 1985 look right again.
It's funny because I've actually come around on this. Yeah. I know this is a side tangent, but early on, I actually really liked seeing my old games in pixel perfect accuracy. And now that I've gotten older, I'm like, man, I want to get a CRT because I want to see them how they were, and how I saw them back when I was a kid.
The thing that flipped it on for me was when I played a game on a CRT again for the first time in 25, 30 years, and I was like, oh, right, this looks way better. Anyway.
Question from Floor Candy. Floor Candy? Floor Candy, spelled funny. Why did they split DLSS 4.5 and 5? Why not have a big launch in DLSS 5 instead? That is a good question, because that's the thing. DLSS 5, this does not feel like DLSS. This does not feel like a DLSS 5 moment where you're talking about everything else in the package as well. DLSS
stands for
deep learning
super sampling. None of this is super sampling, man. And I mean, I would even argue it's not sampling, nor is it super. So it started out as a relatively low lift for developers. Hey, install this plugin, give us a little tiny bit of data, blah, 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 and then we'll make your stuff run at a higher resolution basically for free. And now we're in a weird place where you're having to provide vectors and all this other stuff in as part of the plugin. And now they're talking about spending time with tech artists and stuff like that, making these things look the way you want them to look. And it's increasing. It's a really high lift for a vendor exclusive technology is the thing. Like one of the things that they did last year, the year before now, was they released a framework that basically lets you implement the UI wiring and the upsampling and frame gen plugins across hardware vendors. So like basically they provide an overarching framework, which is a thing Microsoft should be doing, that lets NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD hook in and all have their hardware specific super samplings running off the same plugin infrastructure, which is I actually don't know anybody who's implemented it, but I assume if the writing on the wall, if the thing they describe is what it actually does, it seems like a really good time saver for developers.
You talk about Streamline?
Streamline, I think is what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an NVIDIA driven product, and I've heard from people at other companies that it's not as easy and open as you would hope.
That explains a lot. I mean, maybe this is why Microsoft is. Maybe it's harder to do than one would think. But anyway, the point is, like, we've gone from, hey, I need a half day of engineer time and some UI person time to implement this thing, to, hey, we need this and this and this and this and this, and then suddenly we need the person who's the most time constrained or one of the most time constrained people on the team. It's not going to go. People aren't going to invest the time in it, even though NVIDIA, like, because NVIDIA has like 90% of the overall market, but how many of those are going to be able to run this stuff in the final? And like they're not going to build Crysis. Nobody's going to build Crysis in 2026 because we know how that goes. So they're not going to invest time in it when that person could be making it look good everywhere.
Adding DLSS 5 mode to Crysis in 2026 might make for a pretty cool demo, though.
There you go. Well, piggyback off that, friend of the show, Liquid R asked, should NVIDIA have revealed DLSS 5 with a never-before-seen game instead of a well-known and popular ones? Would you have lessened the reactionary outrage that is currently being piled on? I think yes.
I think if they hadn't shown faces, they would have been fine. If they just said, hey, look at the environment lighting.
But what about a face in a game that hasn't come out yet?
I mean, if they made him look like a bad AI filter, then no, it's not going to go. Like that's the reaction they've already had is, this looks like bad AI filters in Instagram, and like people don't want that. Clearly,
I agree.
I also think that if they had come out with a game that's not well known yet, it actually wouldn't necessarily even create hate buzz. Outrage Ponies writing.
Yeah.
That was in some ways beneficial because at least gets people talking about it. I think if it was like an unknown game and people, honestly, it might have hurt that game in particular, which no developer really wants. And then two, people are like, like it's just like not worth like thinking about right now. And they wouldn't have had even this, cavalry of the ponies riding at dawn.
The charge of the Outrage Pony Brigade.
So they did have the internal NVIDIA team does have an environment, and I can't remember the name of it now. Like it's some sort of like courtyard, like Prince of Persia kind of looking thing. Like they've shown off with like mega geometry and
Zora. I think it's called the Zora demo.
Yeah. So they did have that there, and like they were showing it there with a character that they created. Look, they didn't. I don't think that was part of the normal marketing material.
The kind of, I don't know how to say, the kind of lackadaisical way that they just whipped this out in a 3-minute segment in the GTC conference makes me wonder how much of this came from the top. And like I've long thought that every company helmed by a billionaire should have somebody on staff that has the bulletproof contract and is paid regardless, that's just there to tell the billionaire owner, hey, you're messing this up, you got to not do this over and over and over again. Because
the no man,
like at the end of the day, there's people like you get into these highly placed positions and you're worth almost coming up on billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, and no one's willing to tell you no anymore. And or tell you when you're making a mistake. And like this had this been handled differently, people would be really stoked about this. And showing it the way they did, it looks like slop. And nobody like the perception. Let me rephrase the perception inside NVIDIA, the company that's made a whole buttload of money selling GPUs to the AI industry, is that AI is very good. Meanwhile, outside in the real world, AI is polling at like 87% negative right now in the last thing that I saw. And people are like, oh, I'm afraid it's going to take my job. I think it makes all the pictures look fake. I'm worried that I can't tell what video is real and what video is fake when I watch the news. And people don't like this. Like the general populace does not like this.
Yet they're still using it.
I mean, citation needed.
No,
I mean, honestly,
wait.
both.
Real quick.
So go ahead.
Is traffic up or down on PCWorld.com because of AI search?
But you're confusing two things.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying. I know. It's generative
the
versus.
visual
I know.
versus-
Yeah.
But like I don't know if was the poll just lumping AI into everything, or was it just generative AI?
I don't remember the specifics of the poll.
So-
I read the headline and I read the first.
That's all
paragraph of
I'm
the
asking
article.
for is specific.
All I know is that, especially in the enthusiast spaces, it's generally down. I know that when we talk about AI on the Tech Pod, people yell at us and are like, "Hey, I'm not going to listen to an episode where we talk about that because I get enough of it at work and I don't want to hear it anymore." And like that is not the perception that people inside NVIDIA have. It is not the thing that's filtering up to somebody at Jensen's level. And like, yes, the audience sitting at GTC for the keynote is 100% on board, but the other 500,000 people that watch that keynote on YouTube and the other 20 million people that watch the commentary about that keynote on YouTube are probably much more in the 87% negative side.
Which may be why they turned off comments.
I mean, yeah, obviously when they turn on comments.
I mean, the problem too, though, is that it is, honestly, as Adam points out, it is all about the circles you run in, like for where you're going to get these opinions. So it does really matter where you poll and who you poll and how diverse that poll is. Because here's the thing. I have, like Will, heard from people who don't like AI, who even are in tech, and they find it very disconcerting and a threat to their jobs and their livelihoods, right? However, I also think that it might not even be a case. I don't disagree with the whole, like, you need at least somebody telling, the person in charge with a ton of money and power that sometimes no, so they have perspective. But I also think that it's not just the management thing. I think that honestly, a lot of these companies have kept the employees who are more on board with the vision, or who are at least putting their heads down and going along with the vision, right? I think I live in the Bay Area, like honestly, sorry, not honestly, but obviously Adam and Will do as well. And when I talk to a lot of people in tech, a lot of them who have moved here, they are very excited about AI. They are very bullish on it. And they don't understand when I had a talk. I think I mentioned this one time. I met an acquaintance and I said, "Oh, what are you here for?" They're like, "Oh, I'm moving to the Bay Area for an AI job." And I said, "Oh, what for? Like, what are you working on?" And, my face must have said something when I said that, because he quickly said, "I work on small language models." I work on small language models, and here's like the cool stuff we're doing with it, and here's the data sets that we're training it on. Like, he already knew that he was like in a uphill battle conversationally with me, because I think there's this huge disconnect between the people who are working on it and they see it more for the technical side and the coolness on the technical side, and they don't really see like the far-reaching, more emotional reactions to it, the fear and distrust, and a lot of other things that it has caused. Because I think a lot of them who are very bullish on it see it as growing pains, and that it'll pass eventually, and not realizing that in the short term there are people actually suffering like job losses and other things, and don't see it as it'll get better sort of thing.
Next question from friend of the show, Matt, the Gordon Mong Power Supply Company regional manager, I should say. How many outlets besides you and DF actually saw DLSS 5 firsthand? So, like I said, I wasn't going to go to that meeting on Monday, so I don't know who also was like, nah, I'm not going to go. And then who I did, I can say who I did end up seeing there. Paul Alcorn from Tom's Hardware. I don't know if he has an article up yet or not. Wendell was supposed to be there, but I did not see him. I did see Ian, run into Ian. So
Dr. Ian Cuttress.
Ian Cuttress at
Tech
Tech
Potato.
Potato. So those are the only people I saw there. Does anybody know of other people who would?
I
was
haven't
there and
seen any
covered
of their
it?
hands-on coverage, but I also
Digital
was busy.
Foundry.
Yeah.
Other than Digital Foundry, yeah. So I actually did get video. Unfortunately, like I forgot to give it to you to maybe show on the screen.
Man, that would have been cool.
I mean, maybe we'll do a
we'll-
video.
Yeah, we'll do something.
yeah. I mean, and also I wanted to do an interview there I decided not to because number one, unfortunately, I didn't have a camera person and I wasn't equipped with the right camera gear at the time. And number two, I actually was like, hey, I did tell this NVIDIA, I was like, we should set something up where we have, sure, somebody from your team, of course, but get a developer on here as well, maybe a couple developers, show it off, do a live demonstration kind of thing. So which is not the same as, like somebody getting their actual hands on it, but like maybe, yeah, Elena, you can come in, you can actually get some hands-on time with it, and we can poke at it. It's kind of like when we poked at that what was that, the ace thing?
Yeah, the one that I broke 3 times in like 5 minutes and kind of watched them increasingly panic from the side of the room.
It was kind of fun. So like, yeah, maybe we'll do a follow-up on that too. Yeah, so I don't know. I am curious to see how many people actually got hands-on with it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. This is the most we've ever talked about a demo of something that's like 9 months out at the earliest.
We're like 90 minutes in almost.
Yeah. Sorry. Agent Burness, friend of the show, asks, if people are outraged that DLSS 5 ruins artistic intent, shouldn't they be outraged at the existence of mods as well? We kind of covered that. Should people be outraged at mods?
No, that's the beauty of the PC. I mean, you can add whatever you'd like to it.
It depends on the mod, Adam.
Yes, I changed my answer. Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I did say...
That's someone who's seen things.
I was talking to a friend who's a longtime game developer yesterday on the internet, and I was like, I'm just glad that this didn't happen in the early 2000s, because the things that the change on the characters would have been wildly different and way, way worse. So... Anyway.
All right.
You fill in the blanks.
Chat is reacting with laughing emoji, by the way.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Duke Nukem. How long do you each speculate the... Oh, no, sorry. That's not related to this. Friend of the show, Scribefix. Is DLSS 5 something more than just an AI filter? Have you seen a demo of it yet? I think they put this in before the
that was before the show started.
Well, is it more? Yes, it's more than a filter. Yes, I did see a demo of it. Any indications of whether it run on low end 50 series or 40 series? They wouldn't tell me. Is it basically something only be usable? But yeah, I don't know. They said they got it running on a single 5090, and 2 5090s as well.
I mean,
also,
so one of the things I did ask you to ask is this something that's we're taking data from the game. So it's not like you could feed in, like you could capture a PS5, run it through the 5090 on your machine and yassify your PS5 games in the same way that this did, because it needs the motion vectors and the color information and stuff like that comes directly from the game.
So actually, once again, another place I wish you were there, because I did ask that, and they were like, well, it needs color and it needs motion.
Yeah.
So it needs 3-dimensional information to then apply the lighting to it. But then one of the engineers there was like, actually, that's not true. We could do this without that information as well.
Yep.
It just wouldn't be as accurate, obviously.
There'd be more ghosting and stuff.
BMG asked, should YouTube have DLSS 5? And then puts a funny photo of us.
It's pretty
yassified.
good. It's pretty good.
Also, unfortunately, yes. If you've ever heard about YouTube compression, I hate YouTube compression.
Everybody on YouTube hates YouTube compression.
Yeah, YouTube compression. Now that I've had to start exporting videos again as a video editor now, I had to quickly look up videos. There are specific presets to make sure that the YouTube compression hits you less than other exports.
Hey, look, man,
H.264 still does not get as deeply as compressed as H.265.
There's all the secret info of the tech of the content creator world. Yeah, continues to hose us all because none of that's documented.
Elena's laughing.
I was, because so for anyone who's not on our Discord server, you should join just to see the doctored photos. The photo that Adam is talking about. It's amazing, Brad. I will send it to you so you don't have to go digging through Discord. I'm laughing so hard silently for audio listeners. I'm trying not to make it a big deal, but it's.
I wish it would have also changed the.
I think they missed an opportunity to flower up the flower.
Anyway, a question over here on. Oh, please don't. From Opus 11, friend of the show, Opus 11. Is this on your agenda? Oh, it's a link to a video. I haven't watched the video.
Yeah,
about making and poopifying your life.
That's not what it says.
Okay. Yeah.
Should we move on? Can we talk about next gen?
What, you don't want to talk about this anymore?
I'm exhausted of this. I got all my angry posting done yesterday.
Perfect. Okay.
Anybody else? I mean, I don't know.
That was just a
I'll
Discord
talk
question.
that about DLSS 5.
Yeah.
I think we gave
I'm
this a
executive
good thorough-
decisioning here
Yeah,
since
there
I
we go.
control the buttons.
There you go. Boom. Okay, let's move over to, guess what? The Xbox is just a PC. Great. Cool. Moving
Well,
on.
that was
I
easy.
just saw that picture. Fantastic job. Fantastic job.
Oh, wait. No, actually, yes. Thank you.
yeah?
Scribefix. Ad break. We should take an ad. Do you have the ad break ready?
Yeah, I can do an ad break.
Okay. Yeah. Let's cue up the ad break because we need to take a break.
Hey, another word from our sponsor.
Yeah, another word for our sponsors. Here we go. Hey, look at that. And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back to talk about Project Helix. Last week everyone was mad at Microsoft. This week everyone's mad at Nvidia. So let's take it way back, machine.
Who will be next week? That's the real question. Let's have some predictions.
Roll
I think
the
it could be
dice.
AMD. It could be Intel again.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. It could be Apple. Maybe everybody's gonna be really upset about Apple.
Well, maybe Intel, because we'll talk about Intel in the next segment. Project Helix, the code name was officially unveiled. We've talked about this to death in other spaces, but Elena, as the resident Xbox person, I have not heard your take on Project Helix.
I feel like I'm being put on the spot here.
What do you
Yes,
think about
please.
Can't imagine how I got this impression.
Is
I don't know.
Microsoft screwed? I think is the question.
Um,
I think they're happy with it. I think it's more like, does Elena like it?
I don't know how I feel, honestly. It's been a week and I still haven't finished processing my feelings about this. For a little context, so I spent a decent portion of my career in related to video games, and part of that was we usually don't name names here, but I worked for Official Xbox Magazine for a good handful of years. And I think one of the reasons why I don't have feelings on it yet is because I'm still emotionally processing how I feel about such a large shift from the original model. And, I'm trying to talk through my feelings in my head with like the more rational part of my brain, which is like, hey, it's been, over 20 years. Nothing can usually ever stay exactly the same. Sometimes things do change. But my gut says that I am a little uncertain about this particular change of direction. I like what I'm hearing. I've always been a proponent of the whole like play anywhere sort of concept. But realistically, we have a barometer in some ways in the form of Valve saying, hey, we're pushing back. Hey, we're pushing back. Hey, we do want to do this still in 2026, but things are kind of rough out there right now. High, squeaky, cracky voice, right? And so it's kind of a question now where, Microsoft made the Xbox a thing because they were willing to take a loss leader hit on them. They believe so much in the project. They wanted so much to shape where the industry was going and what it looked like. I don't think that's the same Microsoft now. So I wonder if this is going to fail, honestly, as an initiative, despite all the kind of rosy talk around it. And I think that would be really disappointing, especially because of how excited I know I was in November when Valve came out and was already just even putting this idea of PC gaming in the living room in a more mainstream friendly way. And with something like Project Helix, so many of the devil is going to be in so many of the details. And right now they're very much in that mode of, it's almost the opposite of what we were complaining about in some ways with DLSS 5. They both came out in ways that doesn't necessarily satisfy our technical questions. But one, it was like very just like, here you go, do with what you want. There's some random information. Another one's like, we're just going to say, look over here, sparkle, 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 sparkle. Sparkle. And so for me, I'm a person that really likes having detail before I fully form an opinion. But I guess the TLDR version, TLDR version, we were talking too much the last 90 minutes, is that I'm scared. I don't know where this is going to go. I hope it works out. Maybe.
Yeah, that seems about right. I think I can get behind it. It's scary, and I have no idea where this is going to go.
I mean, especially from a hardware perspective. Like I can see from the software side and, whatever games and stuff like that. But yeah, from the hardware perspective, I think that's where it's like, okay, are they going to sell any of these?
I think it's going to depend. I honestly think it's going to be a big hit or a massive freaking Hindenburg disaster.
And nowhere in between.
We're
right?
quite, you mean
Nowhere in between.
the hardware itself?
Helix, yeah. The Project Helix, that Xbox, it plays your PC and your Windows games. Your PC and your Xbox games. I love the idea. I just don't think that Xbox as a brand has, like, you can still buy those games on PC. Why would you, if they're going to charge this thing a sky high price, I don't understand why you would ever get this over a PlayStation if you already have unless you wanted to play Xbox and PC games, I guess. But I feel like they're going to become Sega 2.0 at a much larger scale. I think this is going to cost too much to really draw people over, and without big blockbuster games, it's really hard to draw people over. And now that we're seeing the Steam Deck in the living room, that makes it triply hard. I think Xbox saying it wants Xbox to play PC games, and Valve bringing the Steam machines out into the living room are why we no longer have Sony games on PC, per the report from Jason Schreier. And that already kind of sucks. And I think Microsoft has the ability to really loss leader drive this. Like if they're like, we're going to take a huge friggin' hit. Like we're going to sell these for $500. There's no way a console like that would sell for $500 in today's climate. You can get a Steam machine if you want, but that's going to cost you $1,000. But if they come out and say, hey, we're going to loss leader this thing, we're really trying to drive our stake, I think they have a chance. But my gut tells me I think they're getting close to being Sega 2.0.
Yeah.
But without all the fans.
Yeah, just to add on to that too, it's like at this point, we don't have, in part because of efforts from the big three, like we don't really have the same separations between the platforms as we used to, right? Like, I mean, console exclusives kind of faded out in like the last few years. I feel like they're not nearly as much of a big deal. So that was really keeping people trapped on on a particular console or platform. Another thing too is that, well, what is the PC known for now? Which is, like the weird, quirky indie games that you wouldn't really find on console because their process is so much, more arduous to get published. And then on top of that, like the mods. But is someone who's playing in the living room really going to be that kind of user that would really gravitate toward those things? Why would they choose this console if Microsoft is just acting more like a publisher and they're putting their games on pretty much anything? Why would you buy their hardware specifically? Like I could see someone basically going PC because, I mean, as Gordon used to joke, and I mean, he did have a point where you can do multiple things on a PC. You can do your taxes, whatever.
I just did mine today.
Yeah. So you could instead just get a PlayStation for the exclusives for that.
Triggering.
And you get a Switch for the exclusives for that. And then you have a PC. Where does Project Helix fit into that?
I mean, in the old days, you bought a console for the exclusives, right? You bought your
in the value.
or your PlayStation or whatever because you wanted to play Mario games. You want to play, I don't know what, Crash Bandicoot probably. I don't know what people play on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider. And then you played because that's where your friends were, right? So you bought an Xbox 360 because your friends were playing Xbox 360 games.
Yep.
You bought a PS4 because your friends switched over to the PS4. The last few years, those exclusives have gone away. The crossplay and the live service games mean that, like, if you're playing on the PS5, playing Fortnite on the PS5 or Arc Raiders on the PS5, I can play with you, and it's no problem.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for us. It's bad for the platforms. So Microsoft's bet was, hey, we're going to get everybody hooked on $20 a month, $15 a month for all you can eat games, Netflix of games. And they led that by paying a bunch of developers a ton of money, way over value for those games, and also started throwing out all of their first party developed stuff into that $20 a month pool. And like in a world where your games are live service and you play them for months and months and months and months and months, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. But they didn't put live service games onto that platform because those all have to be free to play to work. They put a bunch of games that take 50 or 60 hours at most to play, and people were like, well, I want to try Starfield. I'll pay $15. And instead of paying $70 to buy Starfield or $60 to buy Starfield, they paid $15 once. And then Microsoft did some funny accounting to make all that math mostly land on the game studios and not on the service. And they've built a situation where the perception among developers is that you don't really sell a lot of games on Xbox. You come on Xbox if Microsoft wants to pay you to put your game on Game Pass, because you're not going to move numbers on the platform these days. And whether that perception is true or not, I don't actually know, because nobody releases public data about how games are sold. But in the industry newsletters and stuff that I read, that from people who do kind of collate that data from privately shared sources, it holds up, at least at the indie scales that I work in usually. So like they have a problem, and I don't see that this is going to fix it, because the perception on PC enthusiasts is that, hey, you might spend a little bit more on hardware for your PC, but Steam games sales are all the time, and games are cheap on the PC. Mm-hmm. Like so they have to there's two, inside of PC, inside of gamers, there are two beasts, one that wants cheap games on expensive hardware, and one that wants cheap hardware with expensive games. Which one are you going to be? And I don't know. This seems like it's neither of them. But we don't know what the hardware is. We don't, who knows? Too soon to say.
Yeah. I think it will come down to whether or not they super loss leader it. I think that's going to make a big difference whenever it comes out.
This doesn't feel like a Microsoft is going to super loss lead anything that's not AI.
Nope, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
What if it's a loss lead PC?
But are you going to be able to put Steam on it? Can you put Steam on it?
They've said.
Well, is Steam going to put Steam on it, I guess, is the second part of that question. Valve is maybe going to put, who knows?
You don't think they'd want that money?
I don't know. This might be a Tim Epic situation where Fortnite's not on the Steam store.
That'd be really awkward if Microsoft came out and said, "Oh, hey, by the way, it'll play your Steam games," and then
I'm curious to see the actual how it works. Is it going to be like a Steam Deck where you can boot into a PC interface?
Yeah.
If so, you can do whatever you want. But that seems kind of crazy for Microsoft to do for an Xbox as well, in my opinion.
To spend a bunch of money developing hardware? Yeah. They're going to want a little bit of that platform cheddar from the people that put their stuff on the store.
Yeah, they don't want you buying Steam games. They don't get that.
Or if they love you buy Steam games. You just get 30%. They get 30% of the Steam game sales.
Do you think they would actually do Steam though? Because I feel like there's a very specific reason why they haven't announced any partners about it. They just said you're going to play PC games. So I wonder if they're going to create a situation where they incentivize maybe the smaller, places where you can buy your games from to hook in to some kind of console interface. So it keeps it super simple for people, because that's going to be the biggest selling point, right? Because you want people for the audience for this is kind of weird to me too, right? Because you have so many console gamers who are just kind of loyal to their console. And a lot of them shifted their loyalties over to Sony already because Microsoft really just kind of dropped the ball. The remaining ones, if you make it too muddy for them or too difficult and not console enough alike, they're going to also probably bail. So who then are you going to cater to if you make this too much like a PC? Because the PC gamers who are willing to go at that technical level are going to say, I can just literally put a PC in my living room.
Yeah, I'm sitting here literally with a disassembled GPU right now. So I'm a PC gamer. I don't want a keyboard and mouse in my living room. So that, if I'm chilling on my couch, I want to hang out with the controller. So I'm real curious to see what they actually do with this.
I would like to mention, I know I've said this before, but Microsoft has already launched an Xbox that was not something that they made. It is literally doing what I think they're going to be doing with Helix. And the part of this announcement, too, is that the Xbox mode, lowercase m, by the way, it's not
So you
Xbox
think they're going to be
mode.
Steam Machines version 2?
I think the Project Helix will be exactly what the ROG Xbox Ally is.
Like the original Steam Machines. So people will be putting out 50 Xboxes. There will be no Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, like Surface, right?
If you look at Surface
is they're making laptops, but everyone else makes laptops as well.
Got you.
Yeah, and so I felt this since last year, that what we're seeing in that new full screen experience now called Xbox mode, which is now coming to desktops. They announced it's coming to desktops soon as well.
Next month.
Yeah. So I would encourage people to start using that and understanding how that works. And hopefully they get the feedback from how that is and where that breaks down. Because I'll tell you, on the Xbox Ally X, it breaks down plenty of ways, and they have a lot of work to do. But I think this is exactly what it's going to be.
I would have been able and would have loved to give them a lot of feedback about how the new Xbox experience works, but they just jacked Game Pass Ultimate prices to $30 or $35, so I dropped it. So I literally never touched my Xbox.
It's $30 now?
Yeah, $30 a month.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I literally I've literally been some form of Xbox Live subscriber since I started working in that space. So like close to like 17 years at this point. Maybe like I'm letting it expire when my like free like top up is over.
Yeah, I turned it off. When you release games on Game Pass, sometimes they give you Christmas gifts that are like a year of Game Pass Ultimate. And when my credit card expired while one of those was live, and at the end it was like, hey, you're gonna lose Game Pass Ultimate if you don't sign up for this. I was like, I'm probably good, it turns out. I just don't to me, okay, so one of the big benefits of consoles for game developers is that you don't have to worry about anti-cheat and stuff like that as much. Like, you encrypt your packets going across your network, and there's not as much, it's hard for people to cheat doing that. They have to do hardware mods and stuff like that. If this is
only just this week announced the first ever Xbox One hack using voltage regulation issues. Like, it's that secure.
It's wild. Yeah. If they do it right and they get lucky and there's no like underlying hardware flaw, like in the first revs of the Switch and stuff like that, it can be really secure, which means from a cheater perspective, you're much less likely to see cheaters on console platforms, and you don't have to have onerous anti-cheat running at the system or kernel level for console games as much. Now, the thing that, if this is a more open PC, you kind of throw that all away. Now, my assumption is that Secure Boot has to be on for this. Like, that Secure Boot, if they ship an Xbox that's just a PC that you can run whatever you want on it, it is a locked down, you can't turn Secure Boot off, your hard drive's encrypted, all of that kind of stuff, and you don't own the keys. It's like, if you think about like your Windows apps, Microsoft App Store folder that you as the owner of that computer can't get into and can't touch and can't access because the operating system locks you out, I think you're assuming that the whole PC is going to be like that. So it's going to be somewhere in between. But I
will point out it's not that way for the ROG Xbox.
But also, can you run Xbox 360 games on the ROG Xbox Ally?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you run multiplayer Xbox 360 games?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Or do you run them in the cloud?
I mean, you can run them in the cloud.
No, you're running the PC version of the Xbox 360 games using the Xbox Play Anywhere stuff. You're not running the Xbox 360 binaries.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, a huge
Correct.
difference.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
I think that's the other part of it, is that they're going to announce that they're going to have that. It's just a translation layer that's already, like, they did that work for the launch of the new series consoles.
Yeah,
so the launch is already there. So like porting that to the PC, I bet that's something that they would want to do.
It's easier to do that than to make the Play Anywhere versions of the games, for sure.
Yeah. Or just say,
do it in the
3
years ago. If you had told me 3 years ago the next Xbox is going to be a machine that runs really good 1080p, 1440p, 4K, whatever, and can also play your Steam games, I would have been psyched. But then Microsoft spent the last 3 years doing the things it spent the last 3 years doing, and I am just not psyched about it now.
Yeah, I kind of am the same, because Adam, the more you talk about your pet, theory about, the ROG Ally being kind of possible direction for something like this, that they leave it to the partners to handle the hardware side of things, the more I think this would just really tank the Xbox brand, because they're diluting
That's first-gen Steam machines.
So badly, right? It's so bad, because the whole thing is that, look, PC users, especially enthusiasts, which is like, what Valve are kind of targeting, they love options. They love choice. They did not love these choices. They did not adopt it at all. And you're asking a bunch of people who primarily at this point are console gamers first and foremost, who have almost probably pledged their loyalty to a brand because it's almost intertwined with their personality, and you dilute it to this point, they're probably just going to go out and buy a PlayStation finally.
I think
That's
it's
the
also
easy solution.
If that happens, which I definitely could see happening, like, I think Adam might be onto something here.
Yeah, me too.
I would be worried about the quality reputation because I love all the vendors we always talk to. I'm a PC guy. A lot of PC vendors don't have the best reputation for customer service. If you run into an issue with this, are you going to call Microsoft? You're going to call Asus, MSI, Dell? Who you're going to call? Not the Ghostbusters.
Just go to the Microsoft
Jinx.
store and they fix it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait.
So I think they could be stepping in a lot if they go that route.
Yeah. Well, we will see. There's still plenty of time because, the hardware prices. Oh,
Well, they're talking about beta hardware in 2027 alpha hardware in 2027.
Developer
I
hardware.
have to leave in 10 minutes, and I know we have to move on, but I want to do one last final part about this.
okay.
I think it's really interesting that AMD announced FSR Diamond, I believe it was called, going along with this. I'm really curious to see if it runs on existing hardware or if it'll only run on the next gen ones. Because at this point, AMD is paying a lot of past technical debt, taking so long to get to ray tracing, whereas NVIDIA started in 2018. And I would not be surprised if FSR Diamond winds up being something you need RDNA 5 for on the PC side. And I just thought that little PC-centric bit is worth bringing up.
I very much think that, yes, the future of all these platforms is to have it be locked down to some sort of hardware generations.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to Intel really quickly. Guess what?
Oh my goodness, I forgot.
Yeah, no, sorry. We can make this quick because I have the box right here. I've got Intel Arrow Lake refresh. I'm calling it Part Due. Arrow Lake Part Due is here. They announced it.
Wow.
It is TLDR. It is what everyone expected it was.
Arrow Lake, but better.
Yeah. The thing I want to point out that I think that Intel did a good job on is that
we not talking performance yet, right? Just to be clear, don't want to blow any embargoes.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Okay, good, great, sweet. Okay, go.
No. These are just sitting here. I'm not doing anything with these.
All right.
They're just for looking.
This is a box.
No touchy.
Okay. Good. I'm glad you cleared that up because I was about to make bad mistakes.
No. I mean, out of all the stuff that they've announced to this date, it is what you expected it to be.
So you're saying they yassified Arrow Lake?
Sure,
basically.
they put that AI filter.
It's got that good
slopped it
jaw.
right up. Yeah,
little bit more cheek highlight.
Contouring.
Yeah.
But what I do want to point out is that they said specifically that they could have called this a new generation. They could have come out and said, "Oh, this is new 300 series."
You mean like the 13?
Yeah. Like Raptor Lake refresh, right? Was 14th gen.
Yeah.
But they said, no, actually, we decided not to do that. We're going to call this Plus. So it's essentially the same, based on the same architecture. Imagine if Raptor Lake 13th gen had a Plus. That like 14th gen never existed. It was just 13th gen Plus. Hopefully we don't get a Plus.
Would that be
plus,
12th
plus.
generation plus 14th generation?
No, Alder Lake and Raptor Lake were different.
Okay.
So this is still Arrow Lake based architecture. It's just a refinement on top of that. So
it's unfortunate that they're making it so easy to make plus jokes.
I know, yeah. When I heard that, I was like, "You really want to call it plus?" Okay.
But I actually applaud the transparency here, especially because it is only 2 parts, and they just announced, I think, 2 more parts for laptops today are getting Arrow Lake refresh as well. So 4 total parts between laptop and desktop.
I didn't see that.
Well, they have K and KF versions of both chips too, right?
I think.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know. Yeah, something like that. I edited the story this morning and forget already, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm glad that they're calling it plus one. To be totally clear and transparent, I think that's good. I think Intel's been working on that over the last few years, and I think this is a good move on that front. But 2, also because there are only 2 chips. So if you tried rolling out, hey, this is the new whatever gen, I don't even know how to keep track of those anymore, to be honest.
300.
If there was only 2 chips and it's basically the same as before, it would have left a real sour taste in the mouth.
Yeah, so
I mean, it makes sense. Sorry, just real quick. It makes sense to me. This is basically NVIDIA's super strategy, right? It gives them a way to keep it active in people's minds. They can, maybe potentially even win over more like mind share or positivity from everyone in the peanut gallery. And as Brad just pointed out, it avoids the whole awkwardness of saying like, oh yeah, it's a new generation. Everyone's like, stop trying to sell it.
Actually, it's not a new generation. Yeah.
You turn those Goldilocks dials until they get the oatmeal exactly the right temperature to get you to buy a new CPU.
So what dials did they turn? Both parts have extra E-cores. The one of the bigger things was the die-to-die latency or die-to-die can't
Like
think of the
chiplet
right
to
word.
chiplet.
Yeah, like the interconnect, whatever, has been
Intel's
increased.
version of Infinity Fabric.
Yeah. There is a name for it, and I can't think of it right now.
Well, basically it's the bus speed between the I/O die and the compute die, where the main block of E and P cores are, and then the I/O die, which contains everything else, memory controller. Sometimes there's P cores or E cores on there rather, and then a bunch of other like SATA controllers and NV, like all that stuff, PCI controllers.
And that got a jump by 900 hertz, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a big jump on that. The other part that was they really wanted to push on was they have this new thing called the binary optimization tool. So this actually kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe what they've been doing on the GPU side, that like improvements on the GPU side is because the instructions weren't built with their architecture in mind. It sounds kind of like the same thing here too. I want to get more information on how it works, but it's also kind of like APO. So I don't know how transparent they're going to be open about the special sauce, but this is meant to run like APO or an extension on APO that gives better gaming performance. I mean, I guess it's not just gaming theoretically, but what they're showing off is better gaming performance. Yeah. Thanks to
and
this
some of the
binary.
initial slides, I think Arrow Lake refresh was 8% faster in the majority of games that it showed in the slides, but the ones that had iBot enabled were closer to 20 to 30 for the most part. So
Good God.
Apparently there might be some sort of secret sauce underneath there, but we just don't know what it is yet till we have our hands on it.
Is there like any visual quality change or anything like that, or is it just like you flip the switch and it goes fast? TBD.
Shrug.
Not that I've read. Like all their slides is essentially saying that it's just a pure performance thing. That they had like a little Tetris graph where it was like, oh hey, these little blocks, and then they just
it shows you what a different world we're in now, though. Can you imagine telling somebody 10 years ago Intel's putting out this specific binary optimization tool, and it's not just the default thing that everyone's targeting and optimizing for to begin with? We're in a whole new world now.
I mean, part of it is that the consoles are all running AMD hardware, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was actually even in the. I'm looking at the article written by one Mark Hockman, who's in the chat. Hi, Mark. Said, quote, even if the workload has been optimized for another x86 processor, a game console, or an earlier architecture, end quote. So, yeah. So I guess what they showed off in the slides, which games did they show off in the slides? It was Marvel, Spider-Man. Well, I don't know if this has the binary optimization tool, but F125. Was that one?
The slide that has it, ones that have iBot enabled have an asterisk next to the name.
Oh, that's what. Okay, so Hogwarts Legacy, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Hitman 3 is part of those.
Did they talk about how that works? Like you have to have the APO tool installed or something, or is it just happen on the drivers and you don't?
It says iBot will be able to be turned on and off within the APO tool.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume it lives inside that APO tool.
And does this apply if you're using a different discrete GPU, or is this only if you're using the integrated GPU?
No. This is for the CPU.
This is for the CPU.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is for the CPU specifically.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I'm real curious to see it. Like the new prices look pretty good. They're a lot cheaper than Arrow Lake was. The only big super concern for me is seeing just how hard Intel fumbled Arrow Lake gaming the first time. They came out with big claims and it turned out being way below that. So on paper, we should know where this is going to land because it is a refresh, but I'm very keen to see the benchmarks when they're all said and done because Intel did stumble so hard that first Arrow Lake try.
I mean, they did say what they said, the Intel's fastest gaming desktop processor ever. Asterisk.
That's
they couldn't say that last gen because it was beat by the 14900K.
Yeah. So, it is coming out. When is it coming out? I don't have that information in front of me. Looking in Mark's article, and I'm not seeing it quickly either. Yeah. So
Soonish? Question mark. Shrug.
Davina Duckworth in the chat with the real question: does this mean Intel will delay Nova Lake to 2027?
I think there's still time. I mean, it's only March, so I could still see Nova Lake being shown off at Computex.
Okay.
Let's see. It looks like March 26th is the launch date.
Oh,
For
okay.
this. Okay.
So, which is next Thursday. So, yeah. Like I said, I've got the box right there. It's a pretty box. I'm just gonna look at it until the appropriate time. So
Watch the space, I guess.
yeah, watch. Tune into the official messaging.
I'm really curious. I actually am. I'm really curious to see where it lands because gaming was the big issue as far as multi-core stuff goes. Like the fact that they have loaded up so many e-cores, like it actually beats AMD in some workloads.
I mean,
on the production side.
Yeah, in their
According to their numbers.
according to their numbers, they're putting the 270K plus, which is the $300 part, versus AMD's $300 part ish, which is the 9700X, and yeah, I mean, you're talking about more than half the cores, so the thing's gonna womp on it.
Is this still TSMC process? Did they talk about processes and stuff? Or is this still TSMC?
This should be the same exact process
Okay.
as Air Lake. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
I got to go, unfortunately, guys.
All right.
This has been a great chat.
Oh, bye.
Goodbye,
Brad.
chat.
thank
as
you,
well.
Brad.
Adios, y'all.
Let's get to a couple questions real quick.
It's just me now on the screen.
Yeah, Elena's taking up the screen. We have this new Zoom mode that tries to center everyone. Now it's just centering you. Let's get to some questions that I skipped over in Discord because they were relevant for this time now. Friend of the show, Ivan R. Maybe current pricing situation isn't that bad. We still don't have locks on our PC cases. It's actually pretty funny.
Why did we have? Yeah. So
Why
the
did we have
picture
locks
that
on
they
PC
sent with that
cases?
is of an old PC with a physical lock on that. Sometimes they do cutouts to turn off like external power.
Yeah,
or,
like power button.
or
It wasn't that case in
for
this one.
to disable like floppy drives and CD-ROMs and stuff like that. So it'd cut off the power into those external devices.
I mean, I've also seen locks on side panels.
Yeah,
So-
or you'd have if you had a door on the front of your case that blocked all the input, like all the I/O external disk stuff, you could lock that if you were in, I guess, some sort of security situation where you didn't want people to be able to take stuff out without having a key. But also, that's the kind of lock that you can crack by popping the cap off a Bic pen and jamming it in there and twisting it. So,
Wait, are you
like-
speaking from experience?
I mean, look, I've broken into a couple of vending machines. I don't know about
Boom.
you.
There you go.
Look, the chips
learned
don't
something
come
about
down.
you
The chips
every
don't
week.
come down. It's on them, not me.
Yeah.
I'm not a criminal.
Yeah. They just come down. They just, how do they come
I'm
down?
just
You don't
freeing
know.
my sun chips, man.
Okay.
What's your favorite flavor of combos, Adam?
Combos.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten a combo. Is there different flavors?
Yeah.
I thought
yeah.
that it was just the cheese in the middle.
Well, they have the cheese, they have the spicy cheese, they have the pizza. There's peanut butter.
Oh, I've seen the pizza one. Okay.
I like
Oh,
peanut
you know what?
butter.
I've had the peanut butter ones. Yeah, I'd probably prefer the peanut butter ones
Elena?
at this point.
Combo flavor.
I don't know if I know what you're talking about.
It's like a little pretzel thing with some goo jammed into the hole in the
Yeah.
center.
Oh, no, I actually don't know what
You
you're
eat
talking
these at
about.
these are truck stop snacks. This
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
you're on the freeway, you're
Oh,
driving
yeah,
down to
I
LA.
didn't-
You get it
I
out of a
didn't have
bag.
That exposure.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
have that exposure as a
what was your
growing
favorite
up,
truck stop
or even
snack
now.
then?
That we didn't.
Like you go on a road
we
trip.
didn't
What's
stop.
what's your snack situation?
Well, my family didn't really go on road trips,
Okay.
and on like the two occasions that we did, my dad didn't believe in bathroom breaks, so you had to make sure that you stayed pretty dry the
yeah.
whole trip.
Oh no, yeah, we had the coffee can when I was a kid because my dad didn't believe in bathroom breaks either. This is the common ground that we share.
Well, I was also thinking there's a new Japanese market that opened up in Emeryville. I went to recently called Tokyo Central, and I was like, oh yeah, there's so many cool places to get Asian products here. You probably never had combos just because, yeah, it's just not something you came across.
Yeah, I grew up more with Asian snacks.
But it makes me think, how many places in Japan are just American supermarkets?
I mean, I watch a lot of 7-Eleven in Japan videos.
Very few.
Yeah.
I know, like
Very
maybe
few.
that's a market, right? Like it's a huge market here to have Asian supermarkets in America.
Wait, are you saying this
Maybe
is like
it's
the
a
Arizona
huge-
iced tea, where in Arizona they just call it California iced tea?
No, I'm saying maybe we should quit all this jam, go over to Japan and start an American supermarket.
Authentic American food.
Yeah, and we have combos. And
Yeah,
all the
it's just all
Japanese would
nothing
come
but
in.
combos.
Yeah, all the Japanese would come and be like, "What?
Somebody comes
What
in,
is
they're
this
like,
thing?
"Hey, I want some squid jerky." You're like, "Sorry, we don't have that. You want a combo?"
You think we eat that in America?"
Yeah.
You know what's really funny though is that like when you go there, I didn't realize how much I take it for granted of how like widely available fresh fruit is here. Because I was in Japan and I got actually like a craving for, I think it was like an apple, and I walked into a grocery store and they had, hilariously, I was thinking, like Fuji apples, like don't they have them here? No.
California
They're
has
very expensive.
like just
They're
to be
very expensive and
like-
there's not many options.
I grew up in Tennessee, and the fresh produce here is off the hook compared to most of the rest of the country.
Yeah,
Because we're
unless
so
you like
close to the
corn.
production. Yeah, unless you like corn or tomatoes, which California is
Or
garbage
bourbon.
at. Bourbon travels. Tomatoes not so much.
California avocados, love it. Friend of the show, Duke Nukem. I'm getting back to it. How long do you each speculate the Ramdemic will last? And do you think the current market will push off DDR6 implementation? I think they've already spec'd out DDR7, right?
Well, it's always spec like years in advance.
So implementation, though, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Well, no, I would say maybe this pushes up DDR6 implementation if the AI factories feel like they can take advantage of it, right?
I don't know. I actually wonder. I think it's I don't know enough about how the AI workloads work. I read an article a few weeks ago that said they might be on DDR5 for the foreseeable future, just because of the depth of the pipelines of those what Jensen always calls the AI factory machines. So it may be that we get out of it by moving to a newer version of RAM. Now the other side of it is that I saw somebody announced a DDR4 board for DDR5 parts the other day. So I'm wildly curious to see how that works. But it had DDR5 slots and DDR4 slots. So presumably you can run real slow if you want on your AM5 or
Wow.
Intel Arrow Lake parts.
It'd be interesting. Okay, another question. This one, this is a good one, and this one's for Elena as well. Friend of the show, ScribeFix asks, which wins the volume sales war? Assuming they're both essentially just PCs. Project Helix or the Steam Machine?
I feel like I don't have enough information yet for that because especially since we were talking earlier about your idea that the Project Helix initiative, let's call it, could be spread among multiple vendors. And if that's the case, then like do we take an aggregation of all the units sold under that banner, or do we start breaking out who's the most popular? I think depending on how it's implemented, like if it's just actually a Microsoft produced piece of hardware, I think I might still put my money on Microsoft just because of its reach. But I think if it ends up being like kind of disaggregated among, a bunch of different vendors, then I don't honestly know at that point. It's really a toss up because it's going to depend on price point, availability, timing, so many things that we don't know.
So I quickly Googled and found a Wikipedia article that has a list of all the best-selling consoles, or it's just all the consoles and then the reported sales. Reported, right?
Sometimes those are in like stock or in press releases. and
Yeah.
stuff like
So, like this is pinch of salt, right? So I'm trying to find the worst performing Microsoft console.
that would be the Xbox original.
It looks like
probably.
the Xbox original at 24 million. The Steam Deck, what did they say? What was the
last number they gave was like 4 million, but that was 2 years ago at this point.
So like I have no I think yes that this Xbox will easily outsell the Steam Machine.
I mean,
Whatever Project Helix.
yeah, that's the right answer because even if Microsoft doesn't subsidize it, unless it's just a colossal, enormous, like Dreamcast level failure, it'll outsell whatever Valve is going to produce.
Like even the worst Xbox selling like is still probably a bigger scale than what Steam can do.
There's still Microsoft hasn't had their Wii U yet, so there's still time.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking though, because if it's disaggregated, if it's like spread out, that actually might be confusing enough or too much of a sea change. And it might actually cause people to just say, you know what I could do? I could just move to PlayStation.
Every time Microsoft's tried to change the way their business works, it's gotten a little bit worse.
Also, the second part of that question, and does this mean the PC won the console war?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, baby.
Is that even like honestly at this point though, is that war really even a war anymore?
Right?
I mean,
yeah.
like,
Everything's a PC.
Arguably, the Sony's heating it back up by pulling the PC games from Steam. So,
you know what I just thought of? What if because they're pulling Microsoft is pulling back on everything's an Xbox ad? What if now they redo it and say everything's a PC?
I don't. They're not going to.
That Xbox, that's a PC. That laptop, that's a PC. Your phone, that's a PC.
Windows.
Yeah, Windows, baby.
Windows.
It's kind of like what the
spelling it with
Linux.
Z?
It's kind of like what the Linux people say, right? Oh, that's running Linux. Linux rules the world. What are you talking about? Linux literally runs everything.
I mean, like just think about all the Android devices that are out there. Linux definitely dominates.
The most popular OS in the world.
I've seen that argument.
See?
Oh,
Like
this is
Microsoft
exhausting.
could try to pull that. Yeah. Anyway,
Everything's a PC, Adam.
yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up here. We're done. I horribly need to go to the restroom, so yeah. You know,
TMI
I don't have a
show.
bucket. I don't have a bucket here. Sorry.
Oh, it was a coffee can.
Don't turn that on.
It was a coffee can, and
No, you
honestly, though,
Oh, a
it
coffee
could have
can.
been worse.
Yeah.
Well,
I never used the
Will
coffee can.
said that he was offered a coffee can, but that is an improvement over what I've heard in my family, which those equipped to do such a thing physically were offered a plastic water bottle with
Whoa.
the narrow top.
We didn't have plastic water bottles when I was taking road trips with my parents. They hadn't been
It's
invented.
okay.
yet.
Let's. I can't even make that joke.
The full trauma.
Yeah. So
Trauma.
think about
Oh,
that.
let's get you to bed, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
check back next week
Back
for
in
your
my
fix
day,
of PC Talk here
the
on the
metal
Full
tin.
Nerd. If you want to watch us and see our pretty yassified faces, go over to YouTube. You can subscribe to the Full Nerd Network. And you can also tune into us Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. Pacific and catch the show live. Get in the chat. It's fun. But it's okay. Even if you can't catch the show live, the pre-recorded version is there. You know where else the pre-recorded version is going to be? In video form.
On the
Starting
NVIDIA app?
Starting this
that's
week, it's going to be on Spotify.
What?
Yes.
What?
The both other Full Nerd Network videos or podcasts are on Spotify as videos now too. There's this push to get video inside of RSS feeds. Apple Podcast just launched their stuff.
Whoa.
So I've been trying really hard on the back end to get video integrated on RSS feed. And then unfortunately found out that our back end podcast manager, what is it called?
Megaphone?
No, it's called Megaphone, but it's a CMS. No, it's not a CMS.
It's content
It's a-
management system.
Yeah, anyway. They don't
Podcast management system, technically, I guess.
they don't support the ability
Video?
to no it only supports a video that goes to Spotify because Megaphone is owned by Spotify, and I was just like, oh no. so unfortunately, if you want to watch us in somewhere other than YouTube, Spotify is the only other place.
YouTube's fine.
So yeah, anyway,
Perfect weather for a nap, huh?
yeah, nap time for sure.
Flower knows what's up.
But if you want the audio form, that's okay. The audio is still out there. No changes to that. You're still going to get the RSS feeds in Spotify. In the Spotify app, you'll be able to switch between the audio and the video. It's just literally the same file. And if you want to check out the newsletter, if you want to check out the written word of one Eleni E, go over to tinyurl.com/something or
TFN-newsletter.
yeah.
Singular.
Yep. See, there we go. Or PCWorld.com/newsletters/sign up. You can get hot takes from one Eleni delivered to your inbox fresh every Friday. Every Friday.
Do you have a sneak peek? Is this week's going to be why Adam was wrong?
Yeah. Gonna dunk all over me.
No, actually, I rarely do this, but I actually already started writing it yesterday because I had thoughts
It's a
You're that
podcast.
excited.
the
Lies.
DLSS 5
Oh,
You're that excited.
announcement.
I like it.
NVIDIA's Wii U moment.
Can you please include that photo that somebody,
Yeah, the yassification
Yeah.
photo.
Yes, I will.
Pretty good.
because that's pretty good. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Look forward to that. Also, look forward to other episodes of the podcast on the fine Full Nerd Network, like Dual Boot Diaries, where Will and I talk about
Linux stuff. My pull commits.
We're
my pull
actually
requests.
coming up next. I mean, after lunch.
Yeah.
We're gonna literally record the next episode.
Yeah.
Today.
It's in our heads already, just waiting to emerge like Venus from the froth.
Yeah. Microsoft apologists.
Yeah.
Just
noted.
learning to use Linux all the time.
You
Love
say
it.
that.
Yep. And then also Expedition Handheld.
Yeah.
With me, Russ from Retro Game Core, who is actually on vacation this week, so there will be no Russ on the show. But I have somebody lined up. It sounds like it's official, so I'm going to announce it here for all you Expedition Handheld fans. Sean Hollister from The Verge, who's also been on the Full Nerd.
Nice.
He's a big
noted
handheld person.
Handheld guy, yeah.
Noted handheld person will be on the show with me tomorrow, and we actually have something very special that's being brought into the office here just for us to see. So I'm excited about that. Yep. Anyway, thanks everybody. We appreciate you, but definitely thank you to one Brad Charkis.
Thanks, Adam.
Yep, perfect. Nailed it. I want to thank one Elena Yee as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can't wait to see your newsletter. And maybe it'll feed back into next week's podcast. Oh, wait. Next week's podcast, we will have Mikey.
Oh, Mikey's in town.
Yeah, Mikey's in town for RSAC. Elena's going to be attending it as well. So security focused. If you have security focused questions, get them in now in the description. You can go over to our Discord. There's a TFN question channel. Get them over there. But I also want to thank Will for controlling verticals and horizontals. And you did not mess up. Well, you messed up once.
Not yet.
So you switched to the overhead cam when,
I meant to
No
do
one
that.
saw that.
No, you didn't.
No, it was
No one saw
intentional.
Oh, okay. It was
So
intentional.
my
Anyway.
question is, am I feeling more of
we're
a
done with the
fade or a
questions.
cut now? And am I going
We
to the
cut
video?
and then fade to black.
Oh, just to black. We don't do the song again.
No, we do the we
we
cut
do the song,
You
and then
cut
we
to
fade
the
to black.
song and then you fade to
Yeah,
black.
see, this is why I have to ask these things.
That's fine.
I need
We'll
to
do it live.
run a show, please.
Yeah, well, we'll do it live.
sound
Anyway,
first.
and also thank you very much to one Bertrand for this.
Yeah, it's rad.
This wafer
And the cookies, too.
Yeah, I cannot wait to put this up, and then hopefully Elena.
That looks pretty good right there.
Yeah,
It's really shiny in person, and it always looks black on camera. It's super weird.
I mean, especially wafers.
Yeah.
and this wafer has no etch. Like this is a wafer that
This is
didn't
a
get
blank.
printed on.
Yeah.
So you don't see that many wafers that weren't printed on. So it's been kind of fun. I'll put his head right there in the corner. Anyway, thanks everybody. Will, you ready?
Sure.
All right, cool. Let's do it. We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Hey, I did it right.
Nailed it.
Oh, and just leave the mics on so we can hear the post-show
yeah,
chatter.
I have that going, but I don't think I can turn off.
I know.
the
I can.
broadcast. You can.
No,
Really?
keep the screen black for all the people that
Yeah.
are waiting here. You know, they just get to hear the microphones.
Yeah, that's
they
just
like
what
that?
they're- as I'm running over to the other thing to turn off the computer.
No, I can turn it off here.
Well, turn it off.
What? No, but people
Hit the
want,
button. I
people
want to go.
wanna
I gotta
hear-
pee.
People want to hear. All right. Yeah. Let's
See,
go.
the problem is now you have the Zoom.
Everybody.
All right. There we go.
Okay, that was good.